Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Or good evening. Let me check it. Please confirm you can hear me clearly before we continue the session. Kindly confirm you can hear me. Hello, everyone. Okay. Yeah, thanks for that. We need more people to join us. If you know anyone who would be interested in this session, please let's tell them about the session. Let's send the link so they can join us. So we have only 4 people on the call right now. Let's call them to join the session. The session is just for 1 hour or less than that, so we won't take a lot of time. So please let's know where you are joining from. If you have anyone who is not here yet, let's call them. Let's share the link with them. Okay, so we have 7 more people now. All right. Thank you, Chooks, for the response. So we need more people to join us. If you have anyone who is not here and the person is interested in learning Python, please call them into the session and share the links with them and let them join us. Thank you so much, everyone, for responding. So we have 7 people now. So this session is practical, and we don't want anyone to miss out on the session. Okay, so we have more people joining us now. So please, while you are joining us, let us know where you are joining from. Drop your city, your country. Are you from Lagos? Are you from Germany? Are you from India? Let us know in the comments, please. I can't see any response. And we have 8 people watching us right now. So please, let's know those that are. Let's hear from you. Let's know where you are joining from. Okay, thank you, Chooks, for your response. Chooks from Lagos. Okay, Cynthia from South Africa. Temilola from Germany, thank you for joining us. I have Ibrahim from Sudan. Tekla from Kenya, thank you so much for responding. Let's know more. Let's hear from more people. Let's know where you are joining from. Okay, from Kenya, thank you so much for joining, guys. Okay. So we have 9 people now on the call. We're going to be starting in by 3:05. Okay, so we have healthcare from Nigeria. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us. We're not going to take time today. And like I said on the group, we're not waiting for anyone. So if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, kindly subscribe to the channel. If you haven't subscribed to, if you are not following us on the WhatsApp channel, please follow us now so that you won't miss out on any updates that we send out. Okay, thank you so much. Your name is too long, so I can't call it. From Ogun State. Thank you so much for joining. Okay, I think we can start now. Okay. Yeah, so this is 3:05. So hello everyone once again. I'm very excited for this session because it's going to be practical. We are not just talking about the theoretical parts, talking about all those terms that Malik was using last week. So this time around, we want it to be more practical, where everyone can work, where everyone can practice everything that is being said. And so, for those that joined us last week, welcome back. And if you are new here, We're also excited to have you join our community. If you have not watched the previous session that we had, please watch it so that you'd be able to follow through this one that we want to watch right now. But you can still join us right now, learn what we are talking about, learn what Malik is going to be showing you. But then afterwards, when you are free, please go back to the previous video for those that have not watched it yet. And so a big shout out to everyone that has joined us, no matter where you are in the world. I can see those that are joining from Germany, from Lagos, Nigeria, from Ibadan, from different places around the world. Thank you so much for joining us. So last week, we kicked off with an introduction to Python, where Malik helped us to set up the environment, where he guided us on how to install some tools that we can use to write Python. We installed Anaconda. We also checked Jupyter Notebook, how to work on Jupyter Notebook. And we also installed VS Code as well, Visual Studio rather. We also installed Visual Studio. So these are the various things that we looked at. And he also did some things on Google Colab as well. Another thing, the very important thing that I also did was to cover the basics, right? The basic things in Python and the amazing things, other things that you can do with this powerful programming language. So we had a fantastic discussion. It was very interactive. It was engaging. It was incredible. I loved it myself because I learned a lot of things. And I believe you also learned a lot of things. But before we even go to today's session, I would like those that were around to tell us the things they learned from the session. So before I invite Malik, please let me know what you learned from the last session. If you joined the session, let us know one of the things that you learned. Just share with us one of the things that you learned. Unless you were not around. We are still waiting for your comments. Okay, so while you are writing that, so we promised last week that we were going to be moving from the theoretical part to practice. We're going to be practicing, and that is where the magic happens. That is where we see the actual things that Python can do. Last week, he did that already. He did a very fantastic work by showing us a bit of what Python can do. But today, we are also going to be practicing it ourselves. So we'll be diving into a hands-on practical session. Right, we're going to be writing code, we're going to be seeing Python in action. And to make today's session even more special, I'm not alone. I've invited a guest who was around last week. You all know him. And for those that did not know him, is Malik Bello. Is Malik Bello and is a very seasoned teacher. He knows how to teach so well. And that was why I took my time I had to reach out to him because I knew he would be able to break it down for you. So trust me, you're going to learn a lot of things. So whether you are in the intermediate level or in the advanced level, you're going to learn a lot of things from him. So it's very fantastic at breaking things down for people to understand. And that was the major reason why I invited him. So I'm very excited to invite Malik Bello. Thank you so much for honoring this invitation. Malik, you are now on the call. Thank you so much for honoring the invitation. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm good, Esther. Good afternoon. How's your side?
Yeah, thank you so much. So I think I will yield the floor for you to kickstart the practical session. Thank you.
Okay, I'll allow you to share my screen.
Okay.
Just need to confirm it. Yeah, I hope you can see my screen now.
Okay, not yet. I can't see your screen yet. Okay. I think it's coming
Should be
up
up now.
now. Yeah, it's coming up now. Okay, so Meseso, thank you so much for joining us. You learned Python libraries and basic Python functions, yeah. Okay, so we can see your screen now.
Okay, so good afternoon, everybody. Uh, how's been the week and how's everything going? because I really don't want to waste too much of time today. I'm going to like skip majority of all the introductions that Star has rightfully just put across to everybody here. So today, like she rightly mentioned, we'll be looking at how to apply some of those basic Python structures and functions that were looked at in previous class to analyze a real life scenario data end to end. At least you should be able to do one or two analysis before the end of today's class and probably learn how to present the results. So, without too much dilly dally, yeah, you know my name already. My name is Pedro Marie. So, last class we looked at, okay, why do we need to learn Python? What are the places we can write Python code? And just like Esther rightly said, we deep dive into how we can set up our working environment, and we installed quite a lot number of things. So in today's section here, we'll be looking mostly at the analysis part, like I mentioned. But what I require from all of you, just like what we did in previous class, is just relax, put your phone or your PC somewhere close by, open yourself to new ideas, although the majority of the things we'll be talking about today is just the application of what we've learned before. And most importantly, try your best to code along. Google Colab is something like I showed you in the last class. You can easily just go online. I will show you anyway again today on how we can access it again, and you can even access it on the phone. So, yeah, what exactly are we going to be doing in today's class? We want to look at this scenario, and the use case is the popular Netflix dataset analysis that you can find on Cargo, right? And you can see it from some popular GitHub repos of them. So the scenario we'll be looking at today is, let's imagine ourselves that okay, everyone on this call today is a data analyst, whether or not you're a beginner, an intermediate, or expert level. Now let's assume that today our name today is Mr. Tanimola Ebenezer Musa. Okay, so yeah, Mr. Tani Musa is a streaming platform analyst. So his job in his company today is to examine the movie catalog that the company, in this case Netflix, to help them decide what are the kind of new content they need to invest in, what content should they remove, is there a way that they can improve their user experience, and so on and so forth. And he gave him a sample of their data for him to just analyze, and from the result of that analysis, they can make some conclusion. Yeah. So that's what we are looking at today. So today, every one of us, we are Mr. Taniebe Musa. Okay. So without too much dilly dally, we know what Mr. Ebe wants to do. So let's just go online. If I or you are to be Mr. Eze, so there is a lot of stack, like I said, that you can use to do your data analysis. We've established that in previous sections, so we are not going to dilly-dally too much into that anymore. But the stack that Mr. Tanebe Musa is choosing for this analysis today is Google Colab. So how will Mr. Tanebe Musa access Google Colab again? The easiest approach is to just go on Google like I have here. Open a new tab in your Chrome or your Edge browser or Firefox that you have and search for Google Colab. Okay, so once you search for Google Colab, the first result is usually the result that you need. Click on that first result. If you've not opened Google Colab before, okay, the background that you can see on this screen, that welcome page, is what you're going to see. But if you've opened it before, most likely you are going to get this tab. For those of you that got the welcome page, you'll be prompted to sign in using your Google account. Just choose any of your Gmail accounts and log in. Once you are here on this page, just click on this tab here below as new notebook. So give it some time to load up. And once it's up, you are going to get an interface that is very, very much similar to Jupyter Notebook or Jupyter Lab, precisely. So the first thing you will do is to rename the notebook. Give it a descriptive name. So in this case now, we give it like Python Basic um, analysis Netflix, for example. Okay, something like that. But be careful. You see the let me embolden my screen so that you can see clearly. You can see that there is a dot in front of the name. Don't delete this dot. If you do, you are already changing the kind of extension that a Jupyter notebook name is supposed to have. For example, a Jupyter notebook is expected to end with IPYNB, meaning interactive Python notebook. If it is a script, it's simply going to be pi. So please don't delete this full stop, and of course, do not delete this guy. So once you have your name set like that, you can click on enter and you have renamed your page. So now we have this. The second immediate thing that you can do is to come here to files. Okay, you click on files here, you let it load up a bit. Okay, yeah. So see, still connecting to a kernel. Yeah, now it is connected. It is now going to load up all the data sets that I have access to. But none of this is part of what I need here for now. What we need here is the Netflix data set, which I already have on my local device, and I've asked Extra to share it in previous sections to everybody so that we can have access to it. So now, if you come here and click here, it's going to show you your local file explorer and select the specific um, CSV file that you need. In this case, our data set is titled the Netflix titles, which have been previously shared in another class. So most likely, so that is that. This warning, you can ignore it and say, okay, what it's just trying to tell us is that the moment I'm outside of this logo, this Netflix guy becomes unavailable, which is fine because this is a demo class, yeah. So now we have uploaded the data we want to use. In this case, the Netflix titles, and we have established our playground workspace here to work with. Now, another alternative approach to access this Netflix title CSV, okay, for those of you that you probably not downloaded the Netflix title CSV before, is to go on Google and search for Cargo Netflix title dataset. This guy, okay. So once you search for it and click enter, the first result is usually what we need. So you can come here, if you get it, let it load up, and this is the data set. Let me confirm. Yes, it is. So you can come here, okay, and download here. See this download button here. You can come here. You can do it on your phone right now. If you're on your PC, you can do it right now. And for those of you that have access to the CSV before, you can choose exactly the same thing. So once you click on download here, right, it's going to give you two options that you can use to access that data. Yeah. The first option is for you to access it directly from Cargo. And all you simply have to do, okay, is to, copy this link and come here to your notebook. Where's this guy? And paste it here. Now, the only challenge that you might be having is that for those of you that you are using um, your Cargo for the first time, if you run it, this guy will most likely tell you that the data set is unavailable. So, which means that you get it. But for some of you that you have access to Cargo before, okay, it's simple. What you simply have to do is to come here and register. Once you register, follow the prompts, and you have access to this page. But you can give it a try, okay, first, by simply just copy this code and you can come to your notebook and try to run. If you run it and you get these results, it simply means that you have access to the data already. Okay, you have access, but the easiest approach is simply to download. Okay, simply to download it. So, and upload it just like we have done the other time. So, I will do a bit of checkpoints here. I'll come back to come and see um, some of your response and ensure that we are on the same page before I continue. So, like Esther has asked in the group chat now, in the comment section now, I mean, how many of us have the data set? If you don't have the data set, I believe Esther can help us fetch it now from our repo and paste the link for everybody to have access to. So, but the easiest alternative approach that I have here is for you to just come here, download this by yourself. You can click on the download button now. Yeah, I've done that before. So you can come down here and download as a zip. So if you download it as a zip, so it's definitely tell us to log in with our details. So let me choose this guy. Uh, what else? Good. So once you do that, you can click on the download again and download. So it's going to download automatically for us. So once it does that, you can open the file. Once you open the file, you can see Netflix title. Just copy it out of that zip file and put it inside maybe your documents, for example, and paste. So once you do that, Netflix titles, yeah, you can see Netflix titles. We have it here now. My document is backed up. That's why it took time to load up. So you see Netflix titles. So those are the three alternatives that you can use to get access to that data set. So you can use the one extra set for those of you that attended the last class, or you can come to Kaggle here directly. Okay, click on download. You can use the Kaggle import directly. But for some of you that you are just getting to interact with Kaggle for the first time, you might have issue with setting this up. So I won't advise it for now. So the easiest alternative is to just click on download dataset as a zip. Once you download it like I did the other time, you will come down to download Explorer, access that archive that you download, then move that document into a place that you can easily access it. So once you have it, you can come back to your Google Colab, okay, and click on upload here, this button right here. It's going to show you where that is, and click on the document. Once you click on the document, you are going to see it right here, just like we have now. So I'm going to take a pause for like 1 to 2 minutes now to be sure that every one of us we have access to that data set. Because like I said, it will really be nice for you to code along. So I'll drop in the chat box now asking, does everyone, so who has access, who has access to the data sets? Okay, so if you have access to the data sets, now would be a good time for you to, let me know before we move on so that we can start in. So yeah, Esther has also kindly helped us to drop a copy of it down in the comment section so you can download even faster now and get access to the dataset. Now, but at this junction, it is clear, it is important rather, for me to let you know that there are three ways that you can have access to a data for your analysis. Way number one, first is it can be a document. Okay, and that document can be like a CSV file, can be an Excel file, can be a package file, it can be a JSON file. Okay, as much as possible. There are other file extensions that you can use. Then it can be a database, different kind of database. It can be the Azure database. In fact, it can be the Azure blob storage. Okay, it can be PostgreSQL, it can be MSQL, and so on and so forth. Okay. In fact, your data sometimes can be in vectors, maybe in vector database like files, like Chroma, DB, and so on, or it can be AWS S3 storage account. AWS S3 storage account. So, but for the purpose of simplicity, yeah, the data that we are reading in today is in CSV format. Okay, which is why if you check the document's Netflix title, the file extension that you can see here is Netflix title.csv.csv. Okay, so very, very important. So I'm going to clear this part because, like I said, I promise we are going to work on with the simplest approach possible to us. Now, at this point now, I'm going to assume that a good number of us now have access to data sets, and I can see some responses telling me that you are following and practicing. Thank you very much for that. So now, here we are. If you pay attention to the previous class, I made it clear that Jupyter Notebook, uh, okay, let me expand this so that my screen is very clear. I made it really clear that Jupyter Notebook allows you to do two things. One, it allows you to code and it allows you to give documentation for your code at the same time. So for readability. Now, which is what I'm going to be, you know, adopting in this class. We try to document and code at the same time. So, yeah, very important. So for brevity, let me just tell you. Okay, now what do we need to do? The first thing that you, as a data person or a data analyst using Python, want to do is simply you want to read in your data or you want to install or, and import libraries. Okay, libraries. We made clear what libraries are in the previous section. So now, most time, the four libraries that you probably be needing, okay, for most of your data projects, at least for data analysis, will be pandas, which I made clear in the last class that we use for data analysis per se. Let me just say data frame analysis. Data frame analysis. Okay. Then there will be um, let me just list everything all at once. So I will do the documentation. So we have Seaboard, which we use for visualizations. We have Matplotlib, also for visualization, and we have NumPy that I believe I clearly explained last class as used for the, scientific calculation as well as SciPy. So now, which means that we need to install these four guys first. Luckily for us, my people, are you there? We are using Google Colab. Google Colab is a cloud Python IDE, Python interactive development environment that has already been pre-installed with many of the popular libraries that you work with. So most times you might not need to install it. Now, see this guy, which means that if I run a statement like import pandas, okay, as PD, I will break down some points at that point, and I run this guy, okay, it's going to tell me no error because pandas has already been pre-installed in this environment. However, if you are using, let's say, ordinary Jupyter Notebook, you will be required to install all these libraries first before you can start to work. And how do you do that? So the common approach is to say pip install. Okay, pip is Python package installer that we use to install different libraries in Python. And install means you are installing and downloading at the same time. So what do you want to install? We are installing pandas, we are installing Seaborn, we are installing Matplotlib, we are installing NumPy, and we are installing SciPy. However, before I run this guy, I want you to pay attention to this exclamation mark that you see here. Before time, okay, this exclamation mark is signaling to Python that I am working in Jupyter Lab environment or Jupyter Notebook. If I'm doing ordinary Python, I don't need to put this. Yeah, you can see. Now that I remove that equals to sign, that exclamation mark, you can see that it's telling me error. Why? Because pip is not defined. Okay, you can see the error that is saying that pip is not defined. You can see that. So now there are now two options that you can use to define pip in a Jupyter environment. You can use this guy or you can use this guy. The question now is, what is the difference? I'm going to put it in, okay, for clarity. You see this guy, this exclamation mark here, okay, is indefinite and imprecise. If there is a word like that, okay, not precise. Let me just say not precise or get it. Okay, not precise. By not precise is that it instals or does not recognize the environment to work with. Okay, it doesn't. Which is why the better option, so that you don't go and pollute your global environment, precise in the sense that it recognizes the environment to work with. So that's why we are using this guy. So if I install this guy,
Hi,
because
Mali.
this is Jupyter Lab environment. Oh yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, so we have a question right
The
now.
question.
Where do I upload from? Please, where do I
Okay.
upload from? I have downloaded the data set and extracted. So it's
Okay,
possible.
good.
Okay, someone is asking who has access to the data set. I have sent it already. I sent the link. Please, you can access it by clicking on the link. It will redirect you to the data set. You download it and then you upload it.
Okay.
So the
So
question is,
yeah, for
yeah.
how to upload. Yeah. I believe maybe the person just joined. So for those of you that you have downloaded it and you are in Jupyter environment, all you simply do is look for this button. You can see this upload to section storage button. Can you see that button? Once you click on it, navigate to the part of your, whether if you are using phone or you are using PC, where that data is stored. In this case for me, it is stored inside my download folder. Okay, and this is this guy, Netflix titles. Once you click on it and open, it's going to bring it here and you have it in there. So it's as simple as that. Okay, it's as simple as that. So now if I run this guy that I have here, this pip install now, it's going to tell me that all my requirements has been successfully satisfied. Okay, because all these guys have been pre-installed in Jupyter Colab environment. For those of you that you are working from a Jupyter notebook, ordinary Jupyter notebook, please, this guy is very important for you to be able to do all the install. So once you do that, we can now import. The first stage is installing, yeah. The next stage is now import. So import import all required libraries. Required libraries. So what are now the required libraries? So the first one is pandas. Okay. The second one is Seaborn. The third one is Matplotlib. This PyPlot is an extension of Matplotlib that is better for visualization. And we have NumPy and we have SciPy. We might not be using SciPy too much here, but just in case. Now, but you pay attention to all these aliases that I have in front. Okay, note PD is an alias. That means you can name pandas anything as much as you want. You can see define an alias for system command. Okay, is an alias. You can name it anything that you want. And like I said, we use pandas for data frame analysis. Okay, then Seaborn now is what we use for our um, for visualization, advanced visualization,
Hello, Mali.
advanced. Yeah, I'm here,
Sorry
boss.
for interrupting you again. Please, can you help
No,
us
it's
zoom
fine.
in your screen so that they
Yes.
can
Is
see?
this
Thank you so much.
much better now?
Yeah, it's much better now. Thank
Good. So now we have our pie plot, mass plot, which is also used for visualizations. Okay, visualizations. So of course, I made it clear that we are using this guy for numerical calculations, and the last guy can use it for, okay, for scientific calculations. The reason why I'm being verbose, by verbose I mean trying to add as much documentation as possible, so that for people that are not in previous class, you at least try to follow us up. Okay. So now once we do that, we can run this cell again. Two ways to run, or in fact more than two ways to run. You can click on this button here to run, You can click on Control Enter on your PC to run. You can use Shift Enter to run, or you can come to runtime here, okay, and choose any of the options that you like. If you want to run only the cell up, if you want to run the one before, if you want to run the current cell, and you can see all the shortcuts that you can use to do all of that. So no dilly-dally on that. Now we have imported all our libraries. Is that not it? So I'll still be using this notebook, this cell for brevity. Okay. So now the next thing now is to filter warnings. Okay. Now there are some distractions that um, Python can give you sometimes. Okay. And those distractions, if you be with me, that there are some of the methods and functions that you most probably be using that have been deprecated. By deprecated, I mean they are no longer in use like that anymore, and there is no community support for them. So if you use them, Python sometimes can give you some warnings that can make your code look like as if it has an error, whereas it does not have error. So one of the best approach to do that beforehand is to suppress those warnings by filtering them off. So warning is an inbuilt Python library, or yeah, and the syntax for filtering warning is as you have seen. Okay, so warnings of filter warnings in string ignore. So that's just all. Now the last thing that I recommend is to set Seaborn layout. Set your layout for Seaborn. You know I told you that you will be using Seaborn for advanced visualization, which we probably use before today runtime. Okay, so the best thing that you can do beforehand, yeah, is to customize the layout so that everything that you are doing follows the same pattern and is good for your data storytelling and reporting. Because my basic assumption, like I have rejected countless times in previous sections, is that everybody at least here can work with Excel. Okay, so now we will need to set our Seaborn library. To do that, you know that we have used SNS as our alias for calling Seaborn. So I'll just say SNS dot. Okay, so in fact there is no big deal. So luckily for you now, there is AI that is embedded in majority of all the IG that you work with that helps you to complete your code. So for example now, what I try to achieve, you can see, is giving me suggestion on many things I can do already. In this case now, what I simply want to set is to set the thing. But before set thing was introduced, it was set that we used to use. And set as type equals, in this case, white page, for example. Now, this also will work. But if I over this guy, okay, if I over, that means if I just put my mouse very near it, you can see some of the things that this guy is telling me, warning me of deprecation. Like the alias for setting is much preferred because the set will be removed in the future. But the reason why I didn't see that warning before, or that supposed error before, is because I have filtered it off. So the best approach to do here is to use setting so that our code can stand the test of time. So we use setting to do that. So which, as you have seen, if I run now, no error. So we have established the base for our work, our project, by importing all the, installing and importing all the libraries that we need. Okay, so let's move on. The next thing is to now read in the data. Read in the data. Okay, I like using header 4 so that this guy will not be too large. So now to read the data, remember that we've said that we are using pandas as our data frame analysis. Is that not? Now, you know, many question I get is that is pandas the only library I can use for data frame analysis? No, there are other popular ones like PDF. If you are using um, a GPU system, there is Polars, there is PySpark, but all of that are beyond the scope of this class. So now, not to dilly dally, the next thing is we want to read in the data. So what we do is the default name that we used to give in for all data frame in pandas is df. You can assign any name that you want with it, but df is just makes your code succinct and pregnant, so you can use that. So to read it, because we are using a CSV, the method for reading CSV in pandas is pd.read CSV. Okay, so if it is Excel, it will be read Excel. If it is Parquet, it will be read Parquet. It's just as if you are writing English. Okay. Now, once you've defined the kind of read method that you are using, the next thing is to set the path. Okay. So now you've seen the example there. All we just have to do is to come to Netflix titles here. Right, click on that and copy path. So once you copy the path, just put it inside here. So you have it. If you are working on Jupyter Lab, ordinary Jupyter Lab, it works exactly the same. If you are working in Jupyter Notebook from VS Code, it works exactly the same. Just copy the path, whether relative path or full path, both works. Okay, so we have that. Now that we have the next best thing is just check how your data look like. Okay, to check how your data look like, we use df.head. Okay, this one now, natively, like naturally, it shows top 5 rows, but you can customize to show more. If I run this guy now, I'm going to see, let me close this guy so that you can get a full picture of my page. You can see, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It shows top 5 rows of my data set. I can increase. I can say I want to see 10. I just put 10 here. Okay, but the default is 5, just for you to get an idea of how your data frame looks like. I believe it's clear up to this point. Now we see what our data frame is saying, and we can kind of like move on from here. So what we can do after we've seen our data is to try and check through, understand what kind of data am I actually working with. Don't forget that the goal that we are trying to achieve in this case is for us to help the business to see insights that they cannot naturally see from their data. Yeah. So we would need to just check, just brief look, nothing too deep. Okay. For example, now here I can see that the show ID is like a unique ID to all of them. S1 and S2 is the unique identifier in this table. Like I said, I believe that everybody here has some basis of Excel. Just like you have your SN row, serial number row. So that means this guy show ID here is acting as a serial number. So we have a column type that is showing type of movies, whether it is a movie or a TV show. Then we are saying the title of the movie. We are saying the director of the movie, although there are some missing values here. Good. We are saying the cast. The cast are like the actors. We see the country. Yeah. You can see the dates that they added that movie to their platform. Okay. The release year was when the movie was released. The rating is censor. Okay. Is it appropriate for kids? Is it general? Okay, those kind of stuff. How long is it last? Does it last? Is it for 90 minutes? Or and if it is a series, how many seasons? Then is it a documentary? And you can see that we have so many things in the documentary, in the listed in columns. Some of them are chained together with commas. And the last column here is the description, maybe telling us what happened in the stuff. Now that we have a sample of how the data looks like, a lot of questions should be rummaging through your head. What can the business know from this data? What can I tell them? Because remember, this is a very important clue that you should note as a data analyst. We don't care about the technology that you are using to build your data. We don't some business don't even care if you are using AI to like code everything. It's fine. What I care about is whatever it is that you're doing, is it going to give value to me? Okay, is it going to give value to me? So the question that should be in your head every time is, how am I going to analyze this data set to show the business what they cannot naturally know and how I can help them grow? Let's go back to what Mr. Tanimola is trying to do here again. If you pay attention here now, the business is concerned with check our movie catalog, check it. What are the kind of new content that we can do? Are we even getting traction? Are there some movies that our guys don't like? Do we have movies on our platform that we are not supposed to be putting there? who are the which country are using my movie. You can see a lot of questions now coming to our head on a good number of things that I can derive from that data. That is how you should think as an analyst. Okay, so now we'll see some from here. Now I can know that, okay, I can know what is the total number of movie type that they have, then what is the rating of the different kind of movie type that they have and their duration. I can know which movie is more popular. Okay, which let me just be writing it down like that so that you can get. Now from here, now I can know popular movies by country or TV show by country. So what I mean by this is that I can know which country watch which by that. Okay, are we having countries that prefer ordinary movie like TV movies to seasonal movies? Do we have what is the average release year? Okay, popular release year popular release year among ratings. By this, I'm thinking that, okay, does kids like old movies or does adults like that? So you can see a lot of ideas coming to my head like that. So at the end of the day, all some of the questions that you populate here is what you are trying to use your analysis to answer. So by the time you have a clear objective in your head, okay, you know exactly what you are looking for. Now, mind you, if you are an actual data scientist, data analyst, that you are working in a particular company, the easiest approach for you to get an answer or get questions that you want to ask from your data is to engage with the stakeholders. Stakeholders means the people that actually need the results that you want to work with. That's the first approach. That's one of the key things that I learned even from Esther Hanago. Okay, before you do anything, engage with people and let them know. But because this is a scenario case and we already have a typical idea of the kind of information we want to derive from this, that was why some of those questions in my head are coming up. I believe so far we are getting it. I'm going to come back to the chat now and get feedback. Okay, and get feedback. So if you are with me on the same page so far, yes, please let me know. If you have any question, now would be a good time to ask so that we can be sure that we're on the same page. Because at the end of the day, it is not really about writing the language. I will show you so many tricks that can make your knowledge of writing Python very easier, especially when it comes to data analysis. But what really matters is the goal we are trying to achieve. And it is that critical thinking and data storytelling that should always be in your head as an analyst. So if you are with me on the same page so far, I would love you to come to the comment section and say, oh, we are together, before I continue to move on. Establishing that basis is very important to understand the logic and the syntax of the code that we'll be writing. Okay, so while you guys are typing, let me just proceed a bit. Now let's move on. Now we've seen how our data look like. We have an idea of the kind of questions that we can ask from our data, right? Now the next easy thing to do is simply to note the kind of type of data that are inside each of these column. Now mind you, by this superficial check, okay, this first level facial validity check, we know that type looks like strange. Strange means letters. We know that duration looks like strange, means with integers. Okay, same with release here, but we need to be sure because despite the fact, like I explained in the previous class, you might be seeing it as a number and Python is reading it as a different kind of data. So how will you now confirm that? The trick is to check for the data type. So I will just use a current to do that. So check the data type. So to do that, all you just do is df dot data types. df dot data type. If you do that and run, okay, you can see all the different data type. Now see what I'm saying. Even though I am seeing, sorry, even though I am seeing S1 here that is supposed to be showing like string data and it's showing as an object. Now don't be too concerned. anytime you see objects like this, okay, let me see if it's gonna work. Okay, it didn't. So anytime you see objects like this, yes, it's most time referring to strange, that means letter, or mixed numbers, that it can be alphanumeric, it can be anything. Okay, just like we have established in that class, integer means whole number. But from this now, I already know some typical data cleaning problem that I have, which is, even if I agree that show ID can be object, type can be object, title can be object, director can be object, cast can be object, meaning in the sense that it can be strange or mixed with other things. Country, same thing. But date can never be object. It has to be in date time. So let's note that date needs to be in date time. It needs to be in date time. And besides date, what else? What else? What else? Yeah, I think that's all. Even if there's nothing else that I need to convert here, it needs to be in date time. But if you pay attention to duration as well, duration is trying to give you an idea of how long it takes for the movie. It should be in number at least. Okay, so this one too needs to be integer. So these are crucial that I need to change. I need to clean them and work on them. So it's very, very important. I hope you are seeing it now. You see how you are getting some insight so far on how to clean your data and how to get around majority of those stuff. Okay. So, but a better way to check and access our data more, rather than using data type, I can use the info. Okay, let me say deep data type checking, for example. So I can use info. Info is another method for handling data frame. I need to embody this so that you guys can see. Okay, good. See, info. Pay attention. When I do df the data type, there is no what is it called in front? There is no bracket, parenthesis. Here there is, meaning there is a method. Okay, if I over this, you will see all other ways that you see the documentation about it. Okay, so it what does it do? It prints a concise summary of a data frame. It prints information about data frame, including the kind of data type, you can see the column, but most importantly, this is what I need: non-null value. When they say something is non-null, that means it is not empty. It is only going to count non-empty data frame. Note that. So let's run this guy and let's see what it's going to give us. So when we run it, you can see the four of us established that this is a data frame that is using pandas. Okay, the maximum number of row that is there is 8,807, which means that if I see 8,807 non-null, that means there is no missing value. That's what it's telling me. Okay, so that means now, and there are 12 columns, right? Now that means now show id does not have any missing value, and that's an object type, data type. Type, it has no non-null value. That means no missing value, because the number of value that it has that are not missing is the same as the total number of entry. Although we can still calculate that later, but for now you can see how some basic explanation are giving you inside your data already. Now look at director. Yeah, the director is telling you now that out of 8,807 rows, 6,000 plus are not empty, leaving us with about almost 1,800 plus that are empty. Cast 2 has some empty values. Country also have some empty values. Date added also have empty values. This one is complete. Has 4 empty values. This one is complete. This one has 3 empty values. This one is complete. Now pay attention to this guy, this memory usage. Okay, I told you in previous class that there is a very high chance that you might not be working with small data, that you will work with large data. And when you work with a data that is large as 300 million rows, 500 million rows, memory is a problem. Okay, which is why this log memory, you should track it. Although for small to medium scale data sets between 2,000 to hundreds of thousands or about 10 million, you will not have problem memory usage. But it is something that is worthy of note. But here now, which means that this data frame that I reading is less than 1 MB, meaning that it's very, very small. So those are some of the things that my data is telling me so far. So now, the next thing that you can check the shape of the data. Shape of the data, okay. So which in this case is df.shape, and if you run, it's going to tell you some of the things we already know, which is why when you do df.info only, you already have all the things that you need. This has 8,007 rows with 12 columns. This is exactly what this guy is also telling us. 8,807 rows with 12 columns. So this is all encompassing. So I will advise you that even if you don't know how to write dt.data type, you should be able to know that df.info is a better approach of checking the shape of your data. Now, once you have done that, the next thing is to check for missing value, which this guy has also given us an idea of, that there are definitely some missing values. So, but we need to know the exact number of missing values and be sure that those data are actually missing. I'm going to break that down, but just bear with me for now. Okay, what, because that's a very deep meaning. Now, the next thing is now check the sum of missing values per column. Yeah, that's what we want to do now. So to do that, okay, all we just do is df. In fact, he gave it to me. Fantastic. Df is null. What this is doing, so that you will not be lost, is that inside this data frame, now pay attention to me, everybody, please. Anywhere you see dot in pandas, yeah, we use this for chaining. Chaining means joining two or more different methods and different functions together. So what we are doing here now is we are checking, okay, inside our data frame, that means our data that we've read as a data frame, I have any missing values there? Yes or no? It will return a boolean. Okay, if I remove this guy now, this is sum, and run this guy, it's going to give me a lot of boolean. You can see false, telling me whether there is a missing value there or not. But this is too cumbersome for me to understand. So rather than give it to me, sum up all the missing values for every individual column that I have there. That is what this sum is doing. So what it's going to do is that it's going to count all the missing values that are inside show id, give me the answer. Iterate again, all the missing value inside type column, give me the answer. All the missing value inside title column, give me the answer. So that's what it's going to do. If I run that now, you can see what we have, which is validating what we already have here before, that okay, show id has no missing value, type has no missing value, title has no missing value, director has about 2,000 plus missing value, as confirmed by the difference between this guy and 88007. Okay, and as you can see, so now, which means that we have a challenge of a dirty data, dirty in the sense that there are some values that are missing. There are some values that are missing. Now, how do we handle that? It depends on missingness, which is what I'm going to like go out and address here. Note. In fact, before I even do notes, let me come back to the chat and ask some question. Yeah. I want somebody to ask me in Excel, for those, because I said there are some questions. There are basic assumptions I have for this class, which is I assume that at least everybody on the call can work with Excel. Not being an expert Excel analyst, but at least that means if you can work with Excel, means that you can think in data terms. If I say what is mean, you know what means is. If I say what is median, you know what median is. If I say what is average, good, which means that at least to a degree you've been able to at least do some form of analysis with Excel first. Good. Now, when you typically have a missing value in some columns and some rows, what do we do in Excel as a data analyst? I would really love an answer to that question before I proceed. What do we do if you note that some data are missing, like we have confirmed in our data set now? What will you do as an analyst? I'll wait about 1 minute or two for the answer. Engage, please, guys, so that I can really understand what you're saying. And I need to confirm. Can you guys hear me clearly? Esther, please, is my voice clear?
Yes, your voice is very clear. Very, very clear.
Thank you very much. Okay. So I'm waiting for some responses in the chat box about my answer, which is if you are working in Excel, yeah, and you discover that some columns have missing values, like the problem you are facing now, eh, what do you do as an analyst? At least analysts that have been working with Excel. I love that. Fill with NaN. Well, number one, or mean of columns for numbers. Number two, thank you. You can use average to fill up. Yes, thank you. What other things? Identify clean by replacing or removing if it won't affect the outcome. Thank you very much. I don't want to like bangle your name, so I know you know yourself. So, but yeah, you're right. Identify clean by replacing or removing if it won't affect your outcome. The question that will be a follow-up question to that is, how do I know that cleaning, removing will not affect my outcome? Then what kind of replacement can I do? So that we don't really waste too much time. Like I said, we don't have too much time here today. I will talk about it. The theory of missingness. I am not going to dwell too much on it. I'll just paraphrase, so I'll be very fast. So what I expect is that after this class, you go out and you go and read more about it. When we mean by theory of missingness, it simply explains that what are the different patterns of missingness that your data set can have. There are just three. We used to call them MCAR, meaning missing completely at random, completely at random. There is MAR, there is missing at random, and there is MNAR, missing not at random. All of these guys have implication for how you handle missingness. While it is true that you can simply drop, that means remove, and replace, the kind of missingness important. There are some missingness that are meaningful. For example, missing not at random. They are meaningful. Let me give you a typical example of missing not at random problem in our data frame here. Now look at the director column where we have 2,634 missing column. Okay. Now, if I calculate the percentage of the missingness, which we can just do, let me calculate the percentage of missingness. To do that, we just do df dot is null. Okay, we are summing them. No, percentage is what you are calculating the value over the total sum times 100, and that's what we are doing. So the value now is the sum of each and every one of that. We are dividing it by the length of the data frame, which is our sum of everything. Are you getting that? Then we are multiplying that by 100, by 100. Okay, so I can round all of that up to 2 decimal place. Okay, so to complete that, I will need to close this bracket. You can see that. So now, this will show me the percentage of all value. So here now, this 0%. Now, that means director has 29%. The rule of thumb is if the data, missing data is below 5% of general data, you drop. But that rule of thumb is not always correct because of the degree of misleading. Because by here now, I can say dates added here now, 0.11%, very small. I should drop, Abi. But no, if you drop, you can be losing valuable information from your data, which is why the theory of missingness is important. Now, in this case now, for our director, yeah, here, because of domain knowledge, by domain knowledge is the things that we know about movie. We know that it is possible that a movie can have many directors and not one. And because of that, they will not be able to tie the movie to simply one director. And they will move it and they will leave it rather than having to offend different directors. Because if you go and look at the kind of pattern that we have in our data here already, if you pay attention to the director column, you will see that they specifically mention just one director. unlike when cast is many or when listed in is many. This was deliberate. That means it is not missing at random. It is most likely signaling to cases where you have multiple directors. So I cannot drop that. I can't. So to handle that, I will most likely be considering, uh, let me put that here so that we follow up that documentation. I most likely need to replace missing directors with something like, let's say, unknown, that, oh, we don't really know who directed the movie. In fact, it could be some documentaries of maybe that they recorded somewhere that it was the movie. There are movies like that. Okay, like the true movie of Titanic now, the original Titanic, not the Titanic film, the original Titanic documentary that was recorded at the last moment of Titanic. They didn't know who recorded it. They did. So, and they cannot ascribe director to that. So, which means that rather than dropping, I can replace, just like you have rightly said, with something more meaningful. In this case, like unknown. One. Let's go back and check. Look at our date added. Okay. Now, in the date added column now, the date added column is a bit challenging, and challenging in the sense that, because let's see, can it be missing at random or missing completion at random? Think. Let me think. In fact, yeah, oh, the release here. So, which means that we can even know the date added from the release here. So, in this date added, like, we can drop, for example, we can drop. But in the casting, that has 825 column, okay, if they didn't add casting here, okay, it can be like animation. Yes, some cartoons that does not have voice actor. Look at that. If you are dealing with cartoon that was generated with AI, for example, and the voices is just kind of robotic, and they did not add any voice actor to it, there is no cast that acted that movie. So animation, for example, can fit in this category. So we can't drop this unless we will stand at the risk of losing data. So the best approach for, like, cast, as an example now, cast now, we can replace missing cast, replace missing missing cast with something like, what can we use there? Not available, for example. You can replace that. So what else can we see here? In the rating now, the rating we can fill with, if there is no rating, what, please pay attention here. Meaning of rating here is not as if maybe 3 star, 4 star. Rating, as you can see here, is like PG movie. Is it appropriate for all audience? Is it appropriate for people above the age of 13, and so on and so forth? I hope you get that. That's what rating means there. So now, in this case now, our rating now too, we can't simply drop. It can be for general audience. That's why they didn't rate it. They might decide not to. There are some movies that you will not see any PG, anything, because they believe that everybody can watch it. For example, cartoon now, you will not see rating in cartoon because they believe that it's appropriate for all of them. For example, now rating now, we can replace with not rated. I hope you are getting some of those things. So you don't simply think that you want to drop, or you want to start feeling with unreasonable stuff. Now, for those of you that you rightly and correctly identify that for numerical column, which in our case, the numerical column that we have here is the integer column. Let me go and confirm the integer column here, which is the released year. Okay, which is supposed to really be this time, but you can see here now, if you have some unusual number like this here, luckily for us, it's not missing. We can start thinking of, okay, should I fill with mode imputation? Should I fill with median? Or should I fill with mean? Which I believe everybody should know. You cannot fill with mean if there is total in your column. You know that already. Excel tricks. You should, in that case, you fill with median. If it is a categorical column, find out whether it's missing at random or missing not completely at random, and fill with something that is reasonable, just like we are trying to do here. So those are some of the tricks I believe that we should know. So I don't want to dilly-dally on things that I feel we already know. So now, that's for the rating. Now let's now check for the missing value, and we'll be replacing all the missing values very, very soon. But before we do that, let us take a lens look, a closer look at this our integer release here, and see whether we can get some information from there as well. So one of the things that I can do now is, okay, for example, I can describe the numerical column, so that we understand whether, for example, for those of you that you said we can fill with average now, okay, I can check to confirm whether I can truly fill with average. The general way of doing that is df.describe. Now, but mind you, if you do df.describe is meant to return only for what's it called? It's meant to return only for numerical column, but you can configure to show for more than numerical column. So now look at documentation here. What does df.describe does? It generates the specific statistics, and all the center of tendency show you dispersion, shape of the data set, show you quite a lot of things. And you can configure if you want to see percentile, you can configure if you only want to exclude a particular column from there. You can configure if you simply want to include numerical column. Let's try some of these things out and see how they work for us. Now, for example, in df.describe, okay, so now I told you that normally this guy is going to do for only numerical column. Let's check. You can see it picked only release here because it is the column that is integer, as we have seen above. Okay, you can see it will only describe that column. But I can specifically tell you to even describe only number like that. For example, I can tell you to include, okay, only the number like we have here. So what this guy is saying is include only number, but I have to pass that number as an array for me to be able to work with that. And since it is an array, remember that I told you in previous class that an array is just like matrix, and all possible form of operation you can do with a numpy array you can do here. For example, if I don't want this to show on a straight line like this, I can tell it to be sorry, on a vertical line like this, I can tell it to be an horizontal line by transposing. That means the same way we do transposing using pivot tables here, you can just say transpose this guy. If you transpose, see what it does for me. Put it in a straight line for me, making it much more easier to read and compare. And from here, you can see the release here. There is a total number of 8,007 release here. So now see what I can get from here now. The mean. This is telling me that majority of the movie here, they are recent in 2014. You can see they are made in 2014. Majority of them, they are from 2014 and above, as you can see here. Then majority of them are not so distant from each other. Remember what standard deviation is? The distance between each of the individual numbers and the mean. Okay, and the earliest year that I have here is in 1925, which is very rare, as I am saying here, since 1925. So that means the data set I'm looking at has a mixture of very recent movie as earlier as recent as 2014, and I have very few classical movies as old as 1925. Okay, that means 25% have from 2013 and below. 50%, which is a majority of them, have between 2013 and 2017. So, and we also have the most recent year is 2021. So you can see from here like this, I'm already getting an idea. Okay, is it possible for me to know whether adults prefer recent movies or classical movies? Just like what we are trying to answer up above. You can see, even without starting the analysis, just basic exploration, this is telling me that. I hope you are getting. Now, if I now, I told you that df.describe works mostly with natively with numerical column. What if I now want to describe the non-numerical column, the categorical column that I have? I can use describe too. It's only that I will have to configure it in a. For example, let's say I want to describe the categorical columns here. So what can I do? So I can use describe too. So once I use describe, okay, in fact, I love this. He's saying include update. This works actually. This is one way of doing it. Really, if I load this up, you see it's going to give me all the different categorical column, like the show ID, what is the top show ID, like the maximum show ID that you have, 897, and frequency is 1. It's pointing to the fact that this is actually a unique identifier. Okay, now this guy is telling me now type that there are only 2 unique columns that are present there. That means the type of movie, as we have noted above here, can only be a movie or TV show. There is nothing extra here. That's what that is telling us. And what else can I get from here? The title is also unique. That means the common title. Now, for the director, the most popular director here in this guy is Rachiv Chilaka. Okay, this guy with frequency of about 19. So I know directors that are popular. So I can now check, do some form of analysis that can confirm whether people prefer um whether people prefer some directors more than some directors. So you can get idea, which means that if some people are my clients, people in my audience base prefer what's it called? They prefer Chief Chilaka as a director. I can tell the business that find more Chief Chilaka movie. Your clients base are watching that Chief Chilaka. Action point that the business can use. I hope you're seeing that. So, and you can see here as well that anytime it's a David Attenborough movie, we know that people are rushing to it, okay, because there are about 19 frequencies. So you can see this. Then majority of the countries where my guys are located is United States. As you can see that United States, about 2,818 movies are from the United States. Okay, and the earliest movie, some of the most movies from the year that people watch the most is 2020, which is obvious. During Corona, all of us were at home. I mean, during coronavirus, everybody is at home. You are trying to binge watch. You are trying to get over boredom, stress, and depression. You get. So, majority of my guys are TVMA. Okay, so majority of all the movies that people prefer, people movie that is more than one season like this, they start losing interest. But I can deep dive to know more, and from here I can get an idea that movie that has to do with paranormal, some people actually like it more compared to others. So you can see another way approach that I can use to have achieved this is by saying, let me comment this guy out, is by saying, okay, my df dot describe. Are you seeing that? So instead of using include, I can exclude number too, and it will give me the same approach. So I want to exclude numerical variables, okay, and I can transpose as well. So you can see how I'm using what is this guy called? How I'm using full stop to change. The first thing I did is, okay, call my data frame, describe it by telling me all the different statistical column that is there. But I don't want you to include numerical column. Specifically look for non-numerical column. And once you are done, rather than giving, because if I didn't put this transpose, it might be difficult for me to see this guy. Look at the way it is structured. So I have to be checking, okay, what is the show ID, unique count, and I have to scroll to get it. But if I transpose it, I can rearrange it in the format that I want. And you can see it gives me exactly the same thing that this guy will have given me. And I've derived a lot of insight from this as well. So I'm going to take a pause now again to come and check in on you guys and be sure that we are on the same page and see if there are questions for me so far. So if you are still with me, come in the comment section and just type, we are with you, we are here, we are following. Are you facing any problem, challenge with following up? Am I too fast? That kind of stuff. So let's talk so that we can carry out. The reason why it's live interaction is for you to come over, ask questions, follow up, rather than for you to stay with 2 hours, 4 hours long video before you get something you can easily understand within 30 minutes. That's why it's live. Okay, guys. So drop your comments. Let's know you have some very important things that I should pay attention to or questions. If no questions, drop in the comment section that you guys are following me. And I need to confirm that I'm still loud and clear from Esther. Esther, am I still audible enough?
Yes, please, you are loud and you are clear.
Okay, thank you very much. So somebody asked a question. Please complete the theory of missingness and what percent. Why is percent? I believe this is why. Why percent is allowed and not allowed. Okay, we've covered this before. You see that theory of missingness. if I'm to start talking about theory of missingness now, we are still here in 1 hour. It's a very, very, very wide concept. But I'm confident that if you go to Microsoft.learn and search for the theory of missingness or missingness generally, you will see it there. If we have more time, I promise to do it and explain it again, okay? Now, but I can answer the first question now because it is important and it's something that will not take time to explain. So I will scroll back up so that we can see. Now, you see this guy. There are three ways, like I've explained, that you can pip install. Okay. Way number one, you can say pip install, for example, pandas. This one works in non-Jupyter environment. environment. Although some new versions of Jupyter, they are trying to catch up. I hope you get that. If you are in a Jupyter environment, you will need to say pip install by introducing that exclamation mark. Pip install. You see this exclamation mark is a Jupyter command. Jupyter install command. Okay, install command. I hope you are with me. Now you now see, but the challenge is that it is, let's say, how will I put it? It is not navigatory. If there is a word like that, navigatory. By that, it means that it can mistakenly install libraries in your global environment, and you don't want that in your global environment. For common libraries like pandas, like talk to me now. For common library like pandas, like seaborn, like all those common ones now that we have been explaining so far. For those common ones, you might not notice because most times those libraries they don't usually have conflict. There have been several iterations of community development on them so much that there is no problem. But when you start working with the likes of transformers or some very third party libraries, you need to be precise so that in the nearest future when you are trying to work with new projects, you don't enter conflict in your environment. So which is why for more preciseness, okay, this guy is preferable for Jupyter environment. This guy is called the Jupyter Magic Command. Jupyter Magic Command. So you can read more about it like that so that we don't keep going back and forth. We promised an hour and it's almost more than this. So I need to be fast. But I am not rushing. Okay? I am not rushing. By not rushing, not means that we'll finish the analysis. Even if it is just at the end of the day, just show you how you can probably plot line chart or bar chart. You understand? And you can go back and do your reports. Okay, if that's enough, but you understand the nitty-gritty of some of this language, you can write Python code to do anything. So the basis for you to understand like these basics, because you can start building and building and building on it with time. I hope I've been able to resolve that question. So now we've described and we know some things already about our data set. Yeah. So the next thing that we can now do is the missing value that we have before. It is now time to now start. So I will create another section now as data cleaning now. Everything we've been doing before is just exploration so that we know how to clean our data, get an idea about how our data look like and a couple of stuff. Now we can now start cleaning. And of course, the first stage of cleaning is address missingness. Address missingness. So we established earlier that director, cast, country, for example, date added, and majority of those guys, they are not missing at random. They are not. Most especially that director, it is not missing at random. The cast too is not missing at random. Because if the movie was acted by cartoons, who are the cast? You get that? We don't have cast. So if you address it as missingness and you drop, you have lost vital information for yourself. So, and another approach is now that you can point to quality of your data too, which means you can tell the business that I realize that there are some movies that you have in your catalog that they are not even tied to a particular director. and we have people that are watching them. Is there a way we can reach out to some of those movies and know who actually their director is and get more movies that those directors make? So that if we are able to get more movies from directors that people like, we are driving traffic to our site. So look at the kind of insights that you can bring from them. So you have to be careful. For those of you that you've really not like come too close to the theory of missing, please read it. Yeah. So now let's start by filling the director. For example, fill missing columns, missing director. The reason why I'm using this is so that you guys, if I share the notebook, you can know exactly what we did. Fill missing director with unknown, for example. And how do we do that? Okay, so if I fill with unknown, now the first thing is you need to call your director column. And to call a column in pandas is just df square brackets and the name of the column, just like you see here. Okay, now once we do that, we can now assign, we want to change that column in place. Okay, we want to replace any missing value in that column with what? With unknown. We've called now the new column, that's director new column. Okay, now replace it with, let me change it. This guy is so now this is it. DF director again, chain it, and what do we want to do? We want to fill NA. NA means fill, NA means not available. NaN means not a number. NAT means not a time. Okay, so we are filling all variable there that is not available at unknown. Unknown. Can you see that? So once we do that, I can check the df again, df head again, and see if that has worked. Can you see? Let's go and check the director column. We can see all NaNs in the director column has been replaced with unknown, which means that we have directors, we have movies whose directors are unknown. And if we do a pivot table of that later in the course of the analysis, and realize that some of those unknown, they are gaining traction. By that I mean that people are watching them. That means I need to tell the business that they are the movies with unknown directors that people are watching. Reach out to find out who those directors are and get more movies from them. That's an action point that the business can use to scale up their profit. I hope you get that. So that's the most important part of that. So we've done that. So we need, we have a lot of guys that are missing. So let's just be picking them one by one. We've done for director. So the next thing is for the cast. Let's fill cast with what did we say we are filling cast with the that time? Um, Let me go and check. I really don't know where that is. Aha. So fill cast with not available, which means that if by not available, the um, operation meaning of not available here is it could be movies that are comedies. I still say comedy, cartoon. It could be documentaries without cast. Okay, so they are not missing at random. That's the point I'm trying to make. So fill what's that cast column now with not available. So the same technique. All we just do is call the cast column, the new cast column now. Are you seeing that? Call the cast column, fill any is not available. Check the edge. That one too has been done in the cast. So you can see not available. That has been done. So we have to do that iteratively for all of them. Although I don't just want to make this analysis complex. If I'm doing it in real time, I'm supposed to wrap everything around it like some form of Wrangler function. But I don't want something too complex. As simple as possible so that you can understand the basics. Okay. Maybe sometime in the near future, you can write functions, wrangling functions by yourself, and you get better at this. But this is basic enough for you to understand exactly what we are picking up. So, excuse me. Um, so let's check for others. Which other column is missing? We've done director, we've done cast, we've done country. Now, for country, let's see the column that we want to replace country with. So if we have a movie whose country is not there, rather than dropping and lose value, let's replace it as country. And it is possible. It is possible to have movies that have more than one country. Movie that was done by actors from the United States, Nigeria, China, India, Germany, South Africa, and whatsoever. So they cannot tie it to one particular country. It makes sense. So the missingness is not at random. It was deliberate. Okay. So you have to like pay close attention to some of that. So the next thing is country, fill country with what? With unknown as well to make it clear for analysis. Exactly the same method, rush. So if you pay attention, missing country as well, they have been filled with unknown. Okay, pay close attention now. Majority of sorry, excuse me please. Now, good. Majority of all the replacements or filling that we are doing them in place. Okay, note, we are doing this in place. What that means is that in place is true. By in place meaning true is that I am actually replacing it in the original data set because I am sure of what I am doing. Now, there is like a practice that I kind of overlook for the purpose of this class so that things will not be complex is that if you see some other analysts, they prefer to create some sort of a copy. After we've read this data frame, you see some people creating a copy of this data frame to work with. Good, you can do that just the same way you can duplicate an Excel sheet. You can do that. But the reason why it is not really a practice that I would advise you to be familiar with unless you need this for specific series analysis, which we might do. Okay, is that some data are very large. Imagine you have 500 million rows that is already taking about 80 gig of space on your compute or your cloud environment or on your local instance, that whatever, and you now copy. So that means you are duplicating 80 gig in two places. That's a problem for you. It's a big problem for you. That's why I am not you because I'm a big data analyst. I'm not really used to copying unless I need to use this for specific this called data transformation, yes, which I will demonstrate to when we need it. I believe that is a very clear point. Okay. All right. I come back here to check for questions. Now let me see. Let me see how you rounded up the percentage value outcome to student. Yes, there is just a method called round. There is a method called round. I believe you are following me, so it's something that you must have encountered. True. You can see this is it. Because I know it will give you up to like 16, 8 to 16 decimal place if you don't put this round. So just chain it with method round. It's an inbuilt Python method. So you can see round a number to a given precision in decimal point. So otherwise, so if you don't define it, otherwise the return value has the same type as a number. So and it can be negative. So that is that about that. So let's proceed. So we've filled in the country. Which other missing value do we need to address? Date added. So yeah, true challenge with date added that I mentioned somewhere around here. Okay, date was miscategorized as object. That means what they are saying there is that it's either a strange or mixed type. Okay, alphanumeric. But it needs to be in date type for me to be able to like calculate, do some form of trend analysis, calculate analysis over time with the dates. Okay, so I need to convert it to a date time first, then I can now replace the missing value with not a time, NAT, because not a time just makes sense for me rather than having NAN, because there is a difference between NA, which means not available, which means that the if Python is noting something as not available, it means that the missing object is a missing object. which means it can take on any form, string, alphanumeric. But if they say NaN, meaning not a number, so that means this is a missing integer or float. Integer or float, okay? And if it is NaT, which many people are already familiar with, means not a time. That means this is a missing date time object. Date time or time data object. Time data object. So pay close attention to that. Now, how do we address the missingness in this time? How do we clean it up for something that we can use? Yes. Uh, okay. All right. Convert. What we want to do is that we want to convert date added to date time one and replace missing with edit. There are two ways to actually do that. Now, how do we do it? This is way one, which works. Okay, this is way one, which actually works for us. And let me just confirm if it works before I say further. Let me check. Where is that? Hey, this is too big. Oh. Let me use head of like 50 so that I can be sure I get what I have. Hope you guys can still see my screen. Dates added. The best way to know is, let me check df date added. Let's check the data type. Yeah, I think that okay, it's displaying only the last guy. Good. Date time. Yeah, that works. That works. But let me explain something, please, guys. Come over. Um, Now, look at this, guys. This individual, to convert ordinary number like a column that's supposed to be date, but it's non-date data type to date. What you need in Python is pd to date time. And you can see the documentation here. Let's read it together. So there's it's an inbuilt Python function. You can see def to date time. So convert. Hey, this is why I want us to pay attention to errors. What this guy is saying is, anytime you are trying to convert your date time column using the pd date time, and there are now some columns that are not strange that you want to convert to date time. For example, for all the not available na null that we have so far, if I do the pd.datetime conversion on them, they will throw error. But rather than throwing error, the Python library is helping me to convert them directly to NAT type, not a time data type. I hope you are seeing that. And that's what we're doing here. That's what we're doing here. So that's the reason why I'm coercing this error. That's the purpose of this coerce error function. So which means that anytime all the dates, the stuff here has been converted to date time and all errors has been coerced to not a time. Let's just check the head and see if we can easily just you know get that column, missing columns from here. The wait, is date added sef? Does it have missing column? Let's confirm that first. Yeah, wait or no. This added does not. It has 10 missing column. It will be difficult to figure out from that mess. But that's been replaced. Yeah. All the needed stuff there has been replaced. So that works for us. That's what that. Let me replace this to just GF5. I hope you get that now. It has been replaced and we don't really have a problem with that. But we are not done with that this time handling. Yes, we are not done. Why are we not done? If I try to plot some sense of, let's say if I try to do a time series with this date added column, okay, what it's going to do for me is that for every day, it's going to give me the value for every day, and that will not really make sense. So which means that I just like the same way we can do splits in Excel, that I can split 2021 to year column alone, oh 09 to is that January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September. Oh 09 to September as a month. Are you with me? And 25, we may not even concern ourselves with the day now, okay, so that we can have a compact database. So we can do that. We can create new columns that is going to contain only year, and another new column that will contain only months. Now, how do we address that? So let's say we want to pass, that's what we're doing. That's the name of what we want to pass dates added now to year and month columns while we are still keeping the original one. So how do we do that? So if I want to do the year, if I want to create a new column called year added, simple. The new column that I'm creating is year added one. The column I'm creating it for is date added column. And what am I doing? I'm converting the date time, which I already know, to year. So if you check the documentation of this guy now, let it load. Okay, you can see it converts to year and give it to me as a series. Okay, now before we move forward, we can do the same too for the month column. So let's say month that uh, the month that this guy is added. Now, if I run this guy now, if I say this DT month, it will most likely give me the month as a number, and I don't want that. Let's try it. So you can see this is the date added. You can see the new year added that we just did, and you can see the month added that we just did. Give it to me my month as a number. That will not really be good for my visualization. I hope you are getting my point. So I might need to clean that up to month name instead. Python has a method called month name. So if I reload that, it's going to convert it from number to the month. You can see the 9 there has been replaced to September. It has been replaced to September.
Hi,
I'll
Malik.
be yes, boss.
Okay, so we 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 got a comment right now that you are very fast and they can't
Wow,
even code along.
wow, really fast.
Yeah, so please
And
help us
even
to reduce your pace
the,
because
the
it's an
pace.
introductory class, which means
Yeah.
many of them are new, right? So let's reduce the pace so that they will all follow along. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So let me reverse 3 minutes ago. Okay. So what we are trying to do here, right? We have converted our date time, are you there, to this date added column previously. If you see this date added column here that we're working with before, right? It is given as an object. And I've explained the meaning of objects before. How do I know that it is an object? When we check the date time data type here, you can see date added data type. It told me that guy, this object means I am either a string or alphanumeric. That means a mixture of text and numbers. Okay. And if Python is not recognizing a date column as a date, it means that I cannot do time series analysis. And what I explained earlier, I assume basic assumption for this class is you at least know how to work with Excel. You will not necessarily be able to write complex formulas or VBA codes in Excel. No, you can do basic VLOOKUP, you can do basic sum, basic addition, you can do pivot table. For you to be able to do that, you must have some basics of statistics. Maybe in a free day, we can do sections on, I'm sure Esther is going to look for like a very competent tutor that will take everybody on some of those basic of analysis like statistics. Statistics is something that you should know. It's a primordial basic for you as an analyst. Okay. And the basic assumption for this class now is that you are familiar with at least with the central tendency measures, that's the mean, median, mode, you get, and you are familiar with the law of its measures of dispersion. Okay, that is range, mean deviation, standard deviation, variance, and coefficient of variation. Basic assumption, not beyond that in this class. And the only thing that I'm probably just going to add later is at least you know that you can use bar charts for categorical variables. You use histogram for continuous variables. You know those basics. That's basics of statistics. Those are the basic assumptions that we are carrying into this class. Which means that you will be familiar with what a time series means. A time series is just a line chart showing the cycle of an event over time. That's the meaning of time series. Okay. Now, if Python is not recognizing an object, a particular column as a date, even though it is a date, especially you as a human being, you can see that this thing is a date, good. But if Python is not recognizing it as a date, you have a problem. Means is you must address that and convert it to date, a date time or a time data object type. Okay, so we identified that problem when we did our df info exploration. Okay, which is why we are now handling it now when we are trying to handle the missing value that is present in that occasion. I hope you are getting my point, which is now let me scroll down to it. We want this guy to be recognized as a date. Okay, we want it to be recognized as a date, even though I can see that it's September 25, 2021. Python already told me from that data type object we saw the other time that guy, alpha, I'm not date o. Even though you might be seeing that I'm date, I'm not date o. Now, problem number one. Problem number two is that we realized that there are about where is it again? Yeah, the date added. There are about 11%. Can you see that? 11%, which is equivalent to about 10 columns that are missing there. And if I don't undo that missing value, if I run my analysis or write my code, I can get error. I can. So those are the two problems that we are trying to address. Now the question is, we know what we want to do in our head, abi? This is now how do we now write the Python code that will do what we want to do in our head. Now this is it. I'm going to type it out again. So what we are doing is the name of the column that we have as a problem is date added. How do you call a column in Python? Start by the name of the data frame, df. Open a square bracket, this guy. Put the name of the column in a string. Remember string that we did in last class? Yes. That is the name of the column that I want to change and work with. Give it an assignment. Assignment means equals to. Now, the name of the function or method in pandas, yeah, that we use to convert an object to a date time is pd dot to date time. It's English. What is just saying that convert my pandas data frame to date time object. That's what this guy is saying. Now, in fact, you can see the parameters here. This function converts a scalar, array like, series, data frame, or dictionary to a pandas date time object. Simple. That's what datetime does. So once you do that, yeah, you can now open the bracket. Now, the datetime function, you don't necessarily need to memorize some of these things. That's the reason why I'm calling your attention to the usage of this documentation that you have here. Most developers, we don't have the codes in our head. Okay, if I want to write much more complex Python automation codes like this, It's either I carry the documentation beside me or I have an AI close by that say, okay, rather than having to read through thousands of documentation, summarize the documentation for me so that I know exactly what I'm doing. That's it. So I know that for beginners, they might be overwhelmed that is this the total the number of is this the number of quotes that I'm going to know in my head? No, 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 no. If you scroll down, you will see examples of how to use this particular code. They will show you. Let me just keep scrolling because of time. Examples. Can you see? Examples. How do you use it? Simple. Just pd to data time, date time, and put the name of if it is the entire data frame that you are changing, you use the data frame. If it is a column that you are changing, they will show you example. So you can read through, they will show you example of exactly how to deal with it. So anytime you are just stuck and you don't know what to do, but you know what you want to do in your head, read the documentation like this, or you can get an AI to do. Although for beginners, I don't advise you to be reliant on AI. In fact, my advice is that after we are done with this full analysis today, this same thing, write it by yourself without checking any book, anything, like 4 to 5 times, and know what each thing does. Okay, and that's it. With time, get familiarized with, okay, anytime I need to call for object, I do this. Anytime I need to do this, I do this. That's just it. Okay. So what we are doing now is convert the date time to DF. Can you see that? We are choosing a specific column, which is date added, and that's what we're doing here. Now we have done it through, but what we have done so far now is that we have converted the date added column to a datetime pandas data frame. Yes, but we have a problem before too, that there are 10 missing values there, and I don't want those 10 missing values to be saying null null. I still want them to be null but addressed as a time object null. You get it? So the best way to do that is to coerce it to anything. And to do that coercion just means to compress from null to anything. So you just do errors equals coerce. Okay, once you do that, you can run. Just check. Head there is just to check, is what you have done, did it work? And successfully, yes, it did. We have converted the date time. You can see it converted from number, this strange object, to an actual date time. You can see an actual date time. But we can now do more, okay? Because if I want to do a time series analysis on this guy now, and I plot a bar chart, or sorry, a line chart on this guy. See, if I come here now, if I want to plot a line chart on that guy, okay, if I do plot line chart using matplotlib on that column as it is like that, what Python will give me, because think of it as a human being too, it's going to say, okay, let this guy be, let's say, y-axis, which is showing me total movies, okay, and let this guy be the date. You know what Python can see in the column is that you can see 2021, 29, 05, 2021. So imagine he's going to count all the 365 possible days from 1925 on this column. Okay, before it can now start plotting the chart. To plot this guy, you plot this guy, you plot this guy, plot this guy, plot this guy, plot this guy, plot this guy. So the graph will be so rough, really. Okay, so but a better readable approach is to do this, which I believe everybody is familiar with it. So okay, show me the average in 1925, for example. Okay, show me the average in, let's say, 2021, in 2013. You know, here now I can plot, okay, how many movie was produced in 1995? 10. How many movies was produced in 2013? 15. How many was produced in 2014? 7. So by the time I do my line series, yes, it makes more sense. And I can easily show to my business people that, oh, in 1925, 10 movies was generated. In 1913, for example, 13 movies were produced, and that's what we have. Okay, so I can show them the dates that we are adding some of those movies, or the dates that those movies were produced, or the release year, if it is release year I'm doing. But I won't be able to achieve this if I don't convert this to daytime. And the second thing is that I need to separate year from month. Year from month. So how do we now do that in Python? It becomes easier now. Why? Because we have already converted our date added to a date-time object. So I will now want to create a new column that is called year added. Year the movie was added. The year the movie was added. Sorry, this will be data frame, df. Okay, which is equal to, now what does the year the movie was added months, which means that in the column date added, are you seeing that? Extract the year. That's all. In the column date added, extract the year. Okay, if I want to extract the month, in the column I want to put month added here. So what we are doing here now is, okay, the new column I'm creating is called month added. How will I do that? Convert from the date added, extract the month, but don't put the month as a number. This is what this guy is doing, is extracting as a number, but don't put it as a number. Give me the name of the month by yourself, and that is the extra name argument that we are passing. So what this does is that it returns the name of the month in question. That's what it does. So if I check the head now, you can see my guy. I now have new stuff that was created. The year, which is from this guy, 2021, and the month, which is 09, which is September. Qu'est-ce que c'est? At this junction now, take a pause so that I will ensure that I'm checking my face. It's just that we really don't have any time. Okay. Yeah, I see some people that are now answering my question, maybe network and so on. Thank you. So yeah, so we have that. We now have new columns that we have created, year added, month added, and so on and so on. Now, the next thing that we need to deal with, remember that we are still dealing with miscellaneous, cleaning the data, doing some data transformation. That's basically what we're doing, but with Python. Yeah? So now let's go back. Which other one has missing value? This year does not have any missing value. Okay, and all we just need to confirm that, is it a date time object or not? Okay, so the release here is an integer. What can we use this release here to do? Let me see. Should we convert it to a date time object as well? Uh, should we convert it to a date time object? Let me think a bit. For now, we might not need it, but if we want to check the difference that's between when the movie was released and when we added it, we can do that. So they used to call that latency calculation. Okay, let me add that here. So if I want to do some form of latency calculation, latency simply means time difference between two things. Difference between time. Okay. Now, if I want to calculate the difference between the release year and the date added, which in our own case has been renamed to the year added. I hope you are getting that. So I might need to convert it, but I don't think it's part of what I plan for us to do today, but we might just look at it if we have more time. I'm trying to be as succinct and not as complex as possible. Okay. So, but let me explain to you what we might want to achieve with that. Now, From here now, me I feel like there's a problem already that I can tell the business where they are losing money. For example now, a movie was released in 2020. You are now uploading it for me to watch in 2021. Me, I don't like watching old movies. It's a problem. So there's a way we can now calculate a latency column. Yeah, let me just do that now. Calculate, what we want to do here is to calculate latency between year added and release year. Okay, so that's what we want to do. Now, how do we achieve that? So we need to create a new column. Let me embolden this. Now, we need to create a new column between latency, between year called latency column. Yeah, and to do that, we want to know the amount of time, in this case days, abi, between the year it was added. We can do it in year sha. Between the year it was added and the year the movie was released. So let's see what that comes up. I was expecting an error, but it did not pop the error. Let me go and check. Latency. Wow, which means that date time object, yeah, in pandas is actually also addressed as an integer. So which is fine for us. So as you can see now, this is telling me that, oh, a movie that was released in 2020, it took them 1 whole year to put it on, for example, Netflix, for me to watch. I've lost interest. Me, for if I'm one of their customers like this, I like to watch movie or thought. If it comes out today, I watch it. I might even go to cinema to go and see it. If the, for example, when this Marvel movie, what's the name of this one? Oh, Endgame, when it came out, I had to go to a cinema to go and see it because it was all thought. Marvel Avengers Endgame. So now it took this business 1 whole year to upload movie for me to watch. As how? Shey you get? So it's a problem for them, and I might need to do further deep dive to see actually if the latency is affecting the interest of people in some of the movies. So that will require some another level of analysis that we cannot do here. I will need to do some form of correlation and probably Bayesian causality, and we don't want to go advanced. That's why I didn't plan it for the purpose of this class at all. But what I simply want to show you is the latency. So we can plot a graph showing the latency over time here. So that can be one of the things, sorry, that we can do on that. Okay. So let me see if I can clean 2 more columns and we show some graphs, and we'll call this at the end of the day and give us an example of how we can do reports. Because if I want to do a full deep dive into this analysis, obviously you always get new things to do. But the objective of this class is clear and simple. How do you use Python to interact with your data frame, with your data, and bring out insights that you can tell your audience that, madam CEO, Mr. CEO, these are some of the things. For example now, if at the end of the day we complete this research, Mr. Tanimola Ebenezer Musa will have to go to his CEO and tell them that one of the problem that you are having is that your con ten t, yes, so you are uploading new movie, but it took you almost a year to upload some movies. 1 whole year. What are you doing? Do you get it? So these are some of the things, and that is your own value as an analyst. That's the value you want to give to the business, to let them see what they don't know. So if they know this now, hey, oh yeah, if a movie was released, what is the minimum latency that we can adopt? Okay, is it 2 weeks? Is it 2 months? Is it 6 months? 1 year for me is too long. So you can see that's how data, you as a data analyst, you are shaping decision making in your company, and that's your value. That's your value. So how you can use Python to do it is my own job to show you in this section, and that's what I've been doing so far. Uh, I believe now I'm no longer too fast. I will also come back now to see feedback and kind of see question. So I saw question. Why is year added showing 0.0? Oh, very good question. That's the standard of, we can clean it up later, but yeah, we can definitely clean that up. But the way date time object is being shown in Python, in pandas, is float format. Okay, that's why you are seeing the dot zero. Okay, you can definitely, you have to do some form of, sorry, typecasting on it to get it done. Let me try something that comes to my head right now, although I'm expecting it to throw error. Let me see. Yeah, I know we won't be able to do that. So yeah, so we have to undo it later, not now. When we are plotting the graph, there's a way we can abstract that in matplotlib without problem. Okay, so it could be a concern really, but it doesn't really affect the analysis. But when we plot the graph, it's going to be showing 21.0, and we want to clean it up later. So it's a very good question. But the reason is simple. Date time object in pandas is float mostly. Okay, not integer. I believe I answered that question. And the newly created insurance here, okay, yeah, I've answered that. That's why. Okay, thank you so much for that. We'll address it in the course of the class if there's time. So, what else? We are dealing with, what are we dealing with? The missing value. So, we're on here, they release here, no missing value. Now, the rating now. No, we have already said missing value in rating are to be replaced with what? Replace them with not rated. Because it could be, what it could mean is that, so replace missing in rating with not rated. That's what we're doing. So what that could mean could simply be because, we need to add a comment here. So that's why documentation is important for somebody that is using your code. So the person will know why you are not dropping. So, and the reason here is simple. Not rated would mean that some movies are available for general audience. Anybody can watch it. So that's the meaning. Okay. So although I didn't mean that I am Mr. Kanye Ebebisa, okay, I would definitely engage with the business and ask them, I saw some movies that were not rated, and this is my assumption. Is this assumption correct? Stakeholder engagement. That's why truth is one of the most underrated skill of a data analyst is communication. You have to do some back and forth with your stakeholder to confirm that the definitions in your head, is that what it means in business term. And for my own domain knowledge here, I can guarantee and tell you that the answer is yes. Okay, so that's why we're doing that in this case. So it's, yeah, no long talk on that. Okay, and you have addressed that as well. So definitely if you check, that's been replaced. So no long thing. So the next thing, let's go and check what other missing column is there for us to address. Duration too. We've handled all the four missing column here. Duration also have three. So now, for those with duration, in duration now that has missing column, if the duration is not there, we don't want to lose data. I'm being conservative here. I don't want to lose data. So that's why I'm handling my missing value with sets. Okay. So here now, I'm replacing missing durations with unknown. Yeah, let's replace it for unknown as well. So df duration, as you have there, just the same thing. If you are replacing in place field not available with unknown, same thing. And all those three guys has also been replaced. And this time, I think there is no more missing value now. We've addressed all of them one by one. Now, mind you, this class is designed mostly for simplicity. You don't want any cumbersome stuff. I assume that most people here are beginners and everything. If I'm to handle this as an expert, I will not be writing each of those line by line like that. I will wrap it in a function, okay, so that I can reuse for each of those columns. Or I build a customized data wrangler. You can build a customized data wrangler. that can help me to clean my data without problem. Or I just need to be all these things that I've been doing. I'll just be putting everything inside the function, inside the function, inside the function, till the wrangler is complete and I can reduce and reduce anytime I want. Okay. So, like I said, the class is designed mostly for simplicity. Now, all our missing value problem has been resolved, and the only thing we just need to now move on is some other problems. To do that, we need to check our data frame holistically again. So remember, we are still cleaning, which is why some people say, how long does it take you guys to clean your data? Truth, about 60 to 70% of your time as an analyst is spent on cleaning data. A clean data means correct, accurate, and reliable analysis. A dirty data and misconstrued data can result into erroneous decision making. So take your time to clean the data as much as possible. Please, don't rush. Check everything checkable, because clean data means a lot. Oh, we still have some missing value in caste, country, in caste, in country that we did not address. So for caste now, if the caste is not there, that means unknown. The country is not there. Sorry, we've addressed all of that. I'm looking at an old data frame. So all of that has been addressed. Now, let's check this guy holistically. Yeah. Look at, we already know that director, okay, we don't have a problem. We can plot a bar chart that will show me the top 10 directors. Let's do that. So analysis have started. So for example, show top 10 directors that people are watching. Okay. So how do we do that? It's simple. Sorry, I need to type so that I will not be too fast. Now, look at this now. There is an argument, no, sorry, a method in pandas called value count. Value count. Count in plural. S. Okay. Now, what the value count does is that it's going to check through this series director. Okay. And count the total number of occurrence of each unique value. What that means is that it will look at Kristen Johnson and count the total number of Kristen Johnson that is inside your data and give you the output. Okay? You will look at all the value of unknown, count them, give it the data. I hope you understand that. So that's what it's doing. So here now, we now want to see, we don't want to see everything. I want to see only the top 10, head to toe. Okay? So if I do that, let's see our guys. See, which is my concern before as well. So this is a very, very important thing that you need to note, that okay, the most popular known director. I need to type that so that you will get what I'm saying. So from here like this, I know that most popular known director. Known means that director that I can identify. Most popular known director is who? Is that director, Rajiv Chilaka. Rajiv Chilaka. You can see that. That's the most popular. So what that means is that many of the movies that we have in our catalog, most of them are made by Rajiv Chilaka that we know. But we now have some movies that we don't know their director, and we have a lot of them in our catalog. This is a problem. Okay? Because if I check now, if we try to pivot this director count with, let's say, the rating, for example, no, that can't work. The director might not be able to really say much, because there's nothing about watch time here. The total number of time that people are actually watching it. This duration is how long the movie is, but average watch time is, on average, of all the people that have watched that movie, how long do they spend there? You know, there's some movie that you just fast forward 1 hour, you finish in 5 minutes. Okay, so that can give you more details to this. This now, if I have that kind of data pivoted to this guy, and I realize that a lot of people are watching movies from this unknown, it's a problem from the business. I have to go and tell the business that you see there are some movies in your catalog, eh? We don't know who directed them, but people love those movies. Find out who are those guys that are directing them and get more movies from them. So if you get more movies from those guys, more people are going to watch our movie and we make more money. It's an insight. So which is why the way you address your missiness is very important so that you don't lose crucial information by just dropping. Okay, very important. So that's that. These are the top 10 directors. So another insight that I can get from here is that some movies in our catalog are gaining traction, for example, but we don't know who directed them. Okay, and that means we are losing money because we could have partnered with those directors and say anytime you make your movie, oh, let us be the only streaming platform that will be making that movie. Let us be the only one so that we make more money from you guys. I hope you understand. So that's the analyst thing, and that's what we require you to do for us. So that's that about that. So, but if I now want to do something and check, we can do the same thing for country, like country analysis, to check the total number, like top 10 countries that are watching our movie. Okay, but so show top 10 countries. Yeah, you can do that. Hey, sorry. So if you want to show the top 10 countries, it's still the same way. Value count, head, it show you the top 10 countries. Obviously, just like our exploratory show the other time. United States, okay, have more movies. More movies are made in the United States. Then we have Bollywood. Then we also have some movies that are probably from a lot of different countries together at once that we don't know their actual origin. Okay, and we have those from United Kingdom, from Japan, from South Korea, from Canada, and so on. Which means that I can tell the business that you see, if you want to expand more of your movies, I think movies that are from Mexico, we don't really have much from them because if you go and look at the case scenario that Mr. Tanimola is told to deal with, he is told to Mr. Taniebe Musa, a streaming platform analyst, is asked to examine the movie catalog to help the company to decide what kind of new content can we invest in? Can we invest in? So now, obviously, majority of our movies are too centered on United States. Too centered on United States. And we have movies from Mexico that many people could have been watching as well. We can wrap them up. So that means uh, if I don't want to show top 10 countries here, I can show bottom countries. Show the bottom countries, for example. So how to do that? Just do your DF. Okay. So now you can see the for the top we have edge. Yes. For the bottom, obviously, the reverse, tail. Abi? So if you do that, it's going to show me countries at the very, very bottom. And you can see that they are not single countries. You can see they are countries from different regions, and this is something we will need to address. Okay, but not now. So so now that is that about the country analysis. But let's look at something a bit more difficult, the duration column. Okay, now see, our duration column has alphanumeric data, both integer and string. And I know that if I want to do any form of analysis on this guy, you understand, maybe count or something, it must be in number. So I need to find a way of stripping away this minute and stripping away this season, and note that I how do you want to put it? And to be sure that I am not leaking analysis. Yes. What does leaking analysis mean? You know that when you say seasons of a movie, are you there? There can be like 10 episodes in one season. Okay, and each of those episodes can have different minutes. Some can be 45 minutes, some can be 40 minutes. So if I go and combine analysis of TV show with the analysis of movie, that's error. So which means that if I want to say anything about movie, I analyze movie separately and I analyze TV show separately. But even if I want to do any of that, I have a problem. My duration column is alphanumeric. I have to handle that. But first, let us check what is total number of movies that we have and total number of movie type total what's that? What's the column again? Total type so of shows and movies, for example. So to do that, you just define the data type for that guy and show me the value count for type. Okay, so here we have our movie, about 6,000 of them. So we have more movies in our catalog than we have of TV shows. So which means I want to add new content, which is one of the major tasks of Mr. Kanyede Musa. Okay, so I will advise the company to get in more TV show so that, because we have too many movies already, the number of movies that we have is about 2 times more than the number of TV shows. So and we have to tell them that, guys, oh, we need more TV shows. So if you guys remember, they are trying to expand their catalog. So now, how do I address the duration problem? Okay, so please, this is going to be a bit more technical than everything I will be doing. So I will need your rapt attention here. So, but before I go, I want to come back and see any okay, please, date added still has missing value. Really? You know that we have typecasted it oh. We typecasted, because if you look at this date added now, okay, we are no longer going to be using for our analysis like that. Okay, except I want to do some form of time series analysis later. But we are time series analysis. By time series analysis, I mean time series modeling later. So we might not be needing it raw like this. That's why we typecasted it from dates added and splitted it into year added and month added. Now, if you check this year added now, because if you look at our syntax here, let me go back up. Where did we do this? Year added here. Here. Okay. If you look, no, before this guy, in year added. Okay. Yeah, in date added. You can see that we coerce all the error. Those missing value are NATs, not a time. If you drop them, I've told you that you are standing your risk, a risk of losing data. So if at any point in time, yeah, I want to use my date added or my year added in my analysis, I will make a copy of the year added. That's the way I will address it, so that I keep the original data frame syntax. I'm going to create a copy of the year added one. Then inside that copy, I will drop anything. You know, a copy, I've explained in last class that a single column in Python, in pandas, is called a series. So what I will do is I will duplicate that series. Then inside that series alone, I will drop anything. That way, I'm only restricting my drop to that column and I'm not dropping across the entire sheet. I think Excel and Power BI or Power Query, they have that feature that if you want to drop missing column from a particular column, it will ask you, do you want to drop only for that column or you want it to affect other columns as well? There's a reason for that. Okay, but the safest approach is in Python is You collect the series. I'm not sharing my video. I forgot it. You collect the series, and you know you now drop it inside that series. Then you can use this for what you want. So that's the approach. That's why if you are still checking for is null dot sum for date added column, definitely you still see some entities. I hope that is clear, because we will not be using it directly like that. We will rather focus on this guy than this guy. I hope I've been able to like answer that question for you. So yeah, the next question is ULL object 6 days added. Yeah. That's my point. So that's the point I'm trying to like break down to you. Okay, if you do your date type, sorry, your info on that series, you have these results obviously, but you don't need that. You need to, you know, you check, you make a copy of what you need. Inside that copy of that series, drop your NAT, then use it to plot whatever it is you want to plot. That's a safer approach for no, so that you not lose data at all, and you are still working with what you need to do. Yeah. Uh, that is that about that. And now we are trying to handle. I lost my chain of thought. I got it back now. We are trying to handle the duration column. Okay. How do we handle that? How do we handle that? So now let's do it one step at a time. The first thing is, remember that in our head, oh, what we are trying to achieve is uh, we want this 90 to stand alone. We want these two to stand alone, abi? Which means that I have to find a way of cleaning these extra spaces, removing this main. Now to do that, we use something called regular expression. Regular expressions, aka regex. Regex cleaning, let me just use like that as a title of that. Regex cleaning. Now how do we do the regex cleaning? Number one, condition number one, okay? Regex works only with strings, at least for this level, okay? Now what that means is that, remember that my duration column is an object. Remember, we checked this other time. Now the first step is to convert my duration column, to string. And to do that, we do df duration. That means our duration column, as you are saying that, okay? Now, but we are doing in place. You call the duration column again, but you are using a Python, what is it called? A Python method called AskType. That you want to do a type casting on, sorry, pandas method, not Python. Okay, so yeah, the method is AskType. And what are you converting to? You're converting the data frame from object that it was before to string. That's step number one. Okay, now that we have our string, in the duration column as a string, we can now use regex. And how do we do that? We extract the minutes away, extract minutes with regex. Now how do we do that? So again, what we simply do is df, okay, our column duration. Are you with me? Now once you have our duration, to make it easier, okay, I think the best thing we can do is to create a new column called duration minutes, so that we don't lose our original column. Now if you create a column called duration min, okay, now we need to extract it away from our duration, which is duration. Are you seeing that? Now in the duration column, we know that it is a string already. Now there is an operation in string that is called string extract, and that's what we are using. Okay, so if I check now the documentation of string extract, you can see. So it's going to help me to, remove from the series. Yeah, this documentation is not complete, So you have to stick with what we have. So now we have our extract now. Now for rejects. Okay, rejects operation is denoted with R. Are you seeing that? Now please pay attention though. Okay, now we have our app. What we want to extract is a digit. So the syntax for digit in regex is R is D. Okay. Now, but we want to make sure that we are picking only everything before D and as many digits as possible that exist. That's why you are having this plus sign. Okay. Now, don't let us forget as well that after this guy, after our digit here, our 90 minutes, for example, there is a space, a trailing space. We have to cover up that trailing space as well. Okay, now all the possible trailing space, but keep up the minutes. That's what we're doing there. And the challenge that we have, yeah, I think that's all. Yeah, that's basically it. So once we have that, now you have to pass one more argument, which is expand. What this expand is telling us that if you say if you keep the expand, let me expand my, if you keep the expand to true, for example, if you keep the expand to true, what that means is that for every new 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 variable that you have here, meaning it if there is seconds, if there is stuff, it's going to create column, new columns for all of them. But it's good, but for a single value like mean, we know that everything for TV show is minimum, is minute, so we can keep it as first just for one column. So if I do that and run, let's see what we are gonna have. Okay, so now see this guy. Let's see if the column was created. You can see the duration minute has been created now, and you can see it extracted only what I needed. I hope you are getting my, that's number one. Number two is now that the question now is why is, are we now having not a number like missing values? Remember that minutes only applies to TV shows, sorry, to movies. So definitely it is not a missing at random. It's a necessitated, it's missing not at random. That's just the best way to put it. It's missing not at random, which means that NaN here is denoting that the movie, the type of show or type of whatever catalog is not a movie. So if I do the same for seasons too, I mean TV show, every point where there is minutes is going to show as no, and that is the behavior that we want for our analysis. Okay, now let's go back. We need to start wrapping this up. So yeah, anyway, we've done that, but we are not done. We need to be sure after our conversion that our variable that we created just now is actually a numeric variable. Okay, one of the ways to do that is to enforce that it's a numeric variable ourselves. So how do we do that? We use the duration underscore mean, okay, which is equals to df duration. In fact, let's just do like this: pd to numeric. Yeah, that's easy. If you do pd to numeric for duration column, you have that. How we do that? So now what is telling us that for anywhere that there is missing value, change, don't use null, use NaN, which is what we already have. So we can be sure that this value you can see now is showing dot is actually a numeric value now, unlike before. I hope you are getting that. So number one, so we can, let's do everything within this bracket. So we can do the same for seasons as well. We can extract the season in seasons also with regex. Okay, to do that is basically the same syntax, but this time we are saying duration for seasons. We are using the string extract So anywhere the first digit as it could be one, it could be two, it could be three. Don't forget the trailing space, and don't forget the fact that we can have seasons. If you do that like that, we are going to have a new column as well for seasons. And like I have predicted, you can see for every time there is a movie, duration for season will be empty. And that's the behavior that. So this like this now like this, I can plot let's say a table for example which we can put on a chart very soon that will show me what is the for example average duration for TV shows and average duration for seasons. Now let's do it. So we can do an analysis to show average duration for movies and average duration for seasons and being explicitly understanding I said understanding explanatory with my comment because I intend to share this notebook after class so that you guys can go through each of those steps and reduplicate, do it 2 3 times for you to understand why are we doing this here. Now to do that, what we are basically doing now is, let me go back. You know that, let me do this, come here. You know that what the end goal I want to show is show me something like TV shows. Are you saying this? What is the let's say type? The table will be like type and the duration. Yes. Now for the TV show, show me the duration. Maybe average duration is now like 20 seasons, which is impossible. Sha. So 20, it won't put seasons, so just 20. And for my movie, I want to see the average duration to be okay, let's say 85 minutes. That's what we are trying to do. You know that type is in one table of its own. Sorry, in one column of its own. Duration is in one column of its own. If I want to achieve that with Excel, you know I will do a pivot table, abi? I will just say oya create a pivot table, put kini in column, put type in row. That's what we are doing. Now to achieve that in Python, what we use is a group by. A group by. So what we are grouping by is we are grouping the type of movie by the average duration and the average by the duration, sorry, and by the season. So but we want to show the average. You can do sum if you want to. So let's do that and draw. Set with a table with one element, use a list instead. Really? Error. Why? If let's get some response. Oh, it's a series. Now, one of the perks of um talk to me now. One of the perks of Collab is that it has an inbuilt Gemini that can help you to like find out why there is an error if you don't want to rack your brain. All you simply do is to click on this explain error and let's see. I really don't want to rack my head as to why we have this error, but it's saying that one of my column sets. Now let me check what the error is. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's the same error. Aggregation function, aggregation limit. Let's see. Let's address this. Did I do? Oh. I know why. Yeah, that's where I'm going. Thank you. You see, that's the beauty of Python. Now, you know, I explained earlier that you have to ascertain and be sure that even after extracting your number, and the number is a number. Here now, we've extracted this 90 here to show that it's 90. Okay, and we extracted this 2. 2 is looking like a number, but to Python it is not, which is why we have to like enforce that it is a numeric by converting the data frame to numeric. Okay, it enforces it to ensure that it's a number, but in the code we wrote earlier, let me do control Z so you can see here now. We forgot to do the enforcement and it's showing error because of it. So I hope you get that. So we have to do the same thing that we did for duration here. So if I rerun this guy and I rerun this guy now, I believe the error should have been resolved. Yes, good. The error was simply because we did not convert that other guy. So you can see for the duration in minutes and for the duration in seconds. You can make this more beautiful actually by putting both of them, the duration in minutes and duration in seconds, in the same series. In the same series, you can actually do that. But because of time, we will not be doing that because sorry, or should we? Eh, let's do that. Convert the df by that's what we want to do here to a single pivot. Let's see what happens from there. Uh, let's see the transpose did not work. We, what else can we do to put them in the same frame? I can't really think of it right now, honestly. But let's proceed. When the syntax comes back in my head, I will address it. I don't want us to be lagging because of anything. But the what we are trying to achieve here is done. What we did here is we use regex to extract our number from here, convert it to a date time. I hope you are saying that. Convert it to a date to an ordinary number and enforce that is a numeric value that we have here. I hope you get that. So that is that about that. Although, okay, a better approach that we can use for this guy is we can group by all of them one after the other. Group type, yeah, that's a safe approach that will not be too complex that we can do now. Okay, group uh will that work? So group movie by duration minutes. That's what we are trying to achieve here. Right? Let's see what happens. It's still showing some NaN that I don't want to see. Hmm. Okay, let me use a filter. Let's see if filter will work. Filter like movie. Yeah, fantastic. That works. You can see what we did here simply now is to show the average duration for movie, you understand, without this overhead of TV show. And we can adopt the same thing for this guy as well. So that's one way to do it. Obviously, if we calm down to think more, we definitely can see how to resolve that one, but not time. Okay, duration minutes. So this one would now be duration season. Okay, it should be duration seasons. Yeah. So you get that. So you can see here now we know the average duration of the movie we have in our catalog is about 99, let's say 100 minutes. And let me do some form of chaining here too. Let's see if I can round here. So let's round it off.
Hello, Malik. Are you still there? Okay, so while Malik is trying to join us, I hope we've learned a lot of things. For those that are just joining us, please ensure that you go back to the to the recorded section or to the recorded version of this hello Malik session. Yes, and those that could not join the first class, please let's ensure to go back to the session. Ensure you go back to the to the introductory class, because he showed us all these things last weekend. Yeah, he explained all these concepts to us last weekend. So for you to be able to follow through and to better understand what he has been showing us in this practical session, I encourage every one of us to please go back to the last class, rewatch it, and better understand the key concepts. Because if you don't understand the key concepts, it will be difficult for you to use them. It will be difficult for you to start practicing using Python. So he has already taught us a lot of things. So I encourage every one of you to go back. I'm also going to be sharing this notebook with you all, so that those that missed any step out, you can just go back to it and you'd be able to catch up with every single thing that he has been teaching. It has been a whole lot. Even I have headache right now. I use Python myself, but because I had a session earlier, so that's it. So I believe also that most of you are newbies, right? You are beginners, and he has packed a lot of things already into our brain. So please, let's ensure that you go back to it, practice everything that he has done, because it is by practice that you would be able to know how to use it yourself. Practice will help you to solidify what you've done. And this is more or less like a project that you can add to your portfolio. Please confirm you can hear me. Okay. Kindly confirm you can hear me before I go on. Hello, Eddie Digitals, please confirm you can hear me. I've been talking since, I don't know if I've been talking to myself. All right, I'm yet to hear from anyone, but Malik, okay, thank you, Moseso, thank you for responding. So Malik
Can you
is
hear me?
here now. Yes, we can hear you. Welcome back, Malik. Thank you.
Yes. My Wi-Fi. I lost the power on it just now. So that's sad. Apologies. It's back up now. Please, Esther, help me to confirm that you can see my screen now, please.
Yeah, it's coming up. I'm yet
Okay.
to, okay. I'll add it to the stage now. Okay, so we can see your screen now.
Thank you very much. So, sorry guys. Apologies in the break in transmission. It's MTN Wi-Fi that got shut down. But none of their fault. I was not paying attention with the battery on my Wi-Fi. Sorry, please. Yeah. Let's just continue. So, yeah, that's one way that we can use to address that. So you can see there's a filter. Um, what's it called in Python like that you can use to filter. Just same way you write something like where syntax in SQL. There's a where whatever not like or like same thing. Just that you just have to put brackets in this. As simple as that. Okay, so we've addressed that. So you can see we've addressed the difficult column. So Python is that flexible, especially when it comes to some form of text analysis like this. If you are in Excel, you have to first think of okay, do I you definitely need to use some strip. Once you strip, then you are now starting to play what how many letters I want to strip from the back before I can do it. So yeah, that's the flexibility of Python, yes. Now, with that out of the way, I think the last big genre that we have here that we need to sort of like address is um we've addressed the duration, we've addressed the cast. So the next thing now is we can check the genre. Okay, you can, if you look at this guy now, if you look at this column called listed in, Yes. So if I want to check the unique content of listed in now, so df listed in, okay, I forgot the comment. Check unique values in listed in. Okay, okay. Hold on, guys. There is a problem with our compute here. You can see automatic saving has been pending for 6 minutes, which means that that time during my network break, I was off for 6 minutes, and you can see it's been asking me to connect again. Okay, so yeah, that's been recovered now. So I'll now to reconnect this guy, so that I can keep up. So now, what we want to do now is this: we want to check unique. I need to expand my screen. That's too small. So what I want to do is that I want to check unique values in the listed in column. Okay, just to be sure that we know what we are. So what are the different unique values? You can see there's so many. Okay, so many of them. Can't even check them together. So, but the points I'm trying to show here, definitely I would need to kind of, can I use ed for an array? Hmm? Let's try it. Obviously, we can't. We can't. So, anyway, so classic movies. The point that I'm trying to make here is in the listed in column. Let me delete this guy. We don't need this. There was a simpler approach that I could have used, which is simply to come here. We need to reduce this guy a bit. Okay. So in the listed in column, you can see some international TV show, TV dramas. They are comma separated CSV, which means that if I want to know the the listed in column, obviously is showing the different genre. Hello, can you guys hear me? Esther, please confirm I'm still loud and clear.
Yes, very audible. We can.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, where was I? Now, if you look at this column listed in very well, you see that these guys, they are comma separated, they are blah 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 that is there. But look at, for example, international TV show repeats many times. Documentary is similar to docu series. You can see some of these things shown many times, and this is a very, let me say, up of analysis for me. The analysis that is coming to my head right now is I can tell the business, the genre is like the category of movie that the movie fall into. Okay, so I can tell them the category of movie that they have the most in their catalog. Okay, and we can also even for that confirm if those category are recent or old ones. I hope you get that, so we can do that. So but our first challenge is just like when I showed you our old friend the other time, that when we check the tail of some of these guys, you can see some comma that is there, and we don't really want that to happen. What I want to be sure, the answer that I want to give to my business is how many international TV shows do you have? How many crime TV shows do you have? But mind you, because international TV shows can be, a movie can be an international TV show. It can be a TV drama. It can be, you get, and another movie can still be an international TV show but a crime TV show. So which means that it is possible for me to do a count of international TV show, and it's a lot, even more than the data frame that I have. Which means I need to think of a logic to address that. Now come, remember the other time that I explained that a single column in Python is a in NumPy is a series. It's in NumPy. Sorry, in in Pandas is a series, and the entire stuff itself that contains of several series, series one, series two, are you there? Series three, okay. This is a data frame. Yes, please just follow me. Now, what that's telling me is that I can pick a single. So this is a data frame. Now, what that is telling me that I can pick a single series from a data frame and do with it anyhow I want. That was the question that I was answering to somebody earlier when he asked that, I checked the dates added, I can still see I can still see missing values there. So how do I address it? And I explained that we have already kind of broken that date added into year added and month added, which are the columns we want to work with. So if I now want to use the year added, I will consider that year added as a series. Okay, that means a single column. Inside that single column, I can drop the missing values that I don't want and deal with use that column as anyhow I want. We want to use that trick here in a more complex case here now like this. So you dey with me. Now let's go back. I can pick this listed in as a series that it is. You know, if I do pick the listed in series like that, if this is that listed in series, so if this is listed in series, okay, come on. If this is the listed in series, you know what I will be having could be like international TV show, can be like international TV show, comma, crime, drama. I can have thriller, yes. I can have comedy, yes. I can have drama, and so on and so forth, up till like 8,807 rows that we have. You all agree with me, abi? Now, if this is true, which means that this guy on his own, remember that they are all comma separated, all of them as they are like that, okay, I can deal with them like another mini data frame. Oh, you guys are not feeling me. You know, normally the CSV that we're reading, why they used to call that thing CSV is that, ah, how best can I show you this thing? Okay, see this thing, guys. Hope you can still see my screen. I want to open this guy, this my stuff. I want to open it with VS Code. Now, good. See, I might not be able to expand, so you might just have to bear with me because this is VS Code. Okay. What you see here is that you can see for every row that I have, S1, movie, comma, Dick Johnson is there, the name of the movie. Kristen Johnson, United States, September, whatever, 2020. Double C, you can see this is actually how the data looks like. Now, when we dealt with it by reading it into data frame, S1 was given a column, type was given a column, title was given a column. Is that not it? Now, that's on the bigger scale of the document. But now we want to pick just one single column, abi, that is also now comma separated like that. What are you thinking the way I'm thinking? I'm thinking that, okay, one of the logic I can write is, let me pick that listed as a series on its own. You know that series now have comma separated value. That means it has some mini sub-series inside it. So that means I can consider that series as a data frame and the content of that series as content of that data frame as series. Oh, oh, you guys are not feeling it. It's confusing. Okay. All right. How do we address it so that I don't delete that little one? I really need you guys to understand that so that when I start writing this logic, you'll not be confused. So what we want to do is that we want to create a column called DF genres. That means that will give me all the genres of movie. Okay. And what I simply needed it to do, okay, what I simply need to do is that I need to collect the I'm using this comment to explain. So that DFCD will contain the show ID, it will contain the title, and it will contain that listed in column that I want. Okay. Once I create that data frame like this, one, the next thing I will now do after creating the data frame, let me, hey, oh, I've run it. The next thing I will do after creating the data frame is that I am going to split at comma. Okay, what does splitting at comma means? Which means that I'm separating international TV show into one column on its own, separating this in one column on its own, separating this in one column on its own. That's what I'm trying to do, abi. Two, after I've done that, the next thing I now want to do is to what? Is to we can fill in the missing value when we get there, we can drop it when we get there, then count the number of elements that is there. Those are the things I want to achieve. Now let's see how I can write that stuff. So the first thing is I need to create the data frame genre. Now how do I create the data frame? Remember that I want you to include the show ID, the title, and the list. But I don't want the replacement to be done inside this thing. I don't want to touch this at all. Okay, so that's why I'm creating a copy of it. Remember I mentioned this earlier. Now that I've created a copy of that guy and name it his own genre, I can now play with it as much as I want. Now for example, I can I can clean the listed in column now by filling in the missing column with what I don't want. I think we've even done that so that I don't even disturb myself. Listed in, well, it can be there, but I don't really need those stuff. So we can fill in the missing column with empty or thereabout. Okay, so we can do that. Let's just df genre. Oh, so df genre, did I use s? Okay, the df genre, the listed in. No, I'm not doing this yet. So what we want to do is to fill in the missing value with empty so that it does not affect my analysis, because I will definitely drop them when I'm doing my aggregation, because the value count method the value count method in pandas data frame already drops missing column, so I don't need to stop myself with that, but I need to let him know that those columns are empty. That's why I'm doing this to tell value count value count that those columns are empty. That's what we are doing there. So now once you do that, the next thing now is from those lists now, and I want to create a new column there called genre lists. Now remember that it's a list, like I said, a list in lists, series in series. Okay, so once we do that, remember the df again, the name of it is df genre enlisted in. Now how do we now do that? Okay, now there are two ways you can do it. You can decide to be doing this one after the other. Let's say you can split the strings like I told you by separating it at comma level from here. Okay, then after that you can now do your aggregation by stripping the extra spaces. Okay, but I don't want to do that one by one. Remember that I told you now that we have functions in Python. This is where we want to use it now. And the functions I told you that we have in Python, I said we have two types. There are some inbuilt functions and there are some functions that you build on your own. And there is anonymous function. Okay? Inbuilt functions, let me write down so that you guys will follow me for those that were not in the class before. So the three types of functions, we have inbuilt functions in Python, inbuilt functions. So e.g., input, val. There are so many, so don't let us waste time. We talked about before. There are user-defined functions. User-defined functions that is you identify them by def. We explained that last class. Now there is now anonymous functions, like anonymous function, and those anonymous functions now they are identified by. It's just like we use apply lambda. That's just the syntax. Now let's use it. Now how do we use apply lambda here. Now come my hand. So now, just like the name, you apply, that's the name of the method. But I don't want to write the function that I will be using, so you can see. So I don't want to use this guy to make my work easier. We can now lambda is telling you that this is a function, okay, and in the function you can use any name to identify what you want. I'm using S here because it's a series. Now I told you. Okay, so as a series now, the first thing I want to do now is pay attention. Before of all strip the colon, the extra spaces. For every time that we have G, G can be, it's just a syntax, can be anything, okay? That we have G in the split. And what are we splitting at? We are splitting at comma. Are you there? And after splitting, set the dip, this strip again, and close everything that is outside. I hope you are getting that. I know that this one is complex, but we need to use it. Okay? Otherwise, we'll have to write like 7 lines of code to achieve what we want to achieve. Okay? It's a syntax that you probably need to go and check documentation for. I think if I scroll on this, you see the documentation, because documentation is not loading up. Why? It's not loading up. So you might have to go and check documentation online. All right. So you don't, but that's it. Now, after we've done that, everything is still the same. It's still in one series. What we did just now, let me go back and explain. What we did just now is that we have picked all of this guy and we have separated I to be on its own, like international TV to be on its own. We have separated C to be on its own. We have separated this guy to be on its own. We have separated this guy to be on its own. We have separated this guy to be on its own. We have separated this guy to be on its own as a single series like that. I hope you are getting the point. Now that we have done that, the next thing is now we now need to explode it. Okay? No, sorry. This is wrong. What we did so far is that we have done this, we have done this, we have done this, all of them together like that. No spacing. We stripped the spaces too, and we did this. So for the other one too, we did thriller, we have comedy. Please, those spaces that you are seeing here are imaginary. We have this. All of them identify only as only, not connected to any row. Okay? But after we've done this, for us to be able to count their existence, we need to explode them. Explosion means that I will need to make I to stand alone. I need to make C to stand alone. I need to make D to stand alone. I need to make T to stand alone. I need to make this guy to stand alone. I need to make this guy to stand alone. So you know that once all of these guys stand alone like this, I can now count how many I do I have in this entire series. How many C do I have in this entire series? How many D? In this case now, I have 2 D in this entire series. If this guy is I, for example, I have 2 I. If this and this same thing, I have this. So that's what we are trying to achieve. But so far, what we have simply done is we have separated them like this into something I can explode. So I need to generate an explosion series too. So to do that, we need to generate a new genre exploded, for example. So if you do a genre explode, so df genre dot explode the genre list that we have before. So once I do that, I can now count them. I can now create another data frame that can help me to count. So how do I count? Remember that I have generated genre exploded. Okay, you see I have the value count. Now once I have add the value count, so if I want to arrange them, this one will show me the total number that I have now. It will show me, but I want to arrange them in such a way that they are from what is it called? They are from top to bottom. So to arrange them from top to bottom, the first thing is I can start by renaming the axis. Okay, but I can rename the axis to genre to show me okay which one is the genre, you know. Okay, then I will reset the index to show the count. Let's generate this and let's see what we have. Okay, let me see if I can put. So let's limit it to top 10. Yeah. Let's just see the output of this guy. I was expecting, and I wasn't expecting an error. So where is the problem? A field object is not substitutable. Wait, but did we do the conversion to strings? Let me check. Let's see. Let's find out why we have the error because it's not coming to me straight up. We have our column. So let's just wait and see why the error is coming up. But so far, while we are waiting for that to load up, if you have question on the syntax now would be a good time to ask. So if we are trying to use square bracket to access anywhere. Oh, where did I type a square bracket? Let me go and check. Oh, definitely. There is a typo somewhere. It should have been um, sorry. So if I run this guy, I'm not expecting to see an error. Yes, definitely. This guy is not supposed to be here. So yeah, as you can see now, yeah. So the top 10 now, are you seeing that? So we have international movies to be about 2,752, dramas to about 2,427. We have comedy. So this is what they can. This is a good thing that you can present in your final report. That okay, after checking, I realized that international movies are what you guys used to put in your catalog too much. What of the ones that are below? So if I go here now and change this to 10, okay, let's see the ones that are below. See, even the ones that are TV shows like that stand alone, they are not there. Classic and cult movie is too low. Stand up comedy and TV show for me like this, I used to watch Max Amini show very well. Okay, so if I don't see Max Amini show on Netflix for example, I would rather just go to I'll go to YouTube. They are losing money. So these are some of the things that you can tell them and show them. Okay, so what we achieved here now, because the goal of this class is to show you how you can use Python to maneuver your area and analysis. What we did here is to the new thing that we did here, we already know how to copy a data frame. We already know how to fill a data frame. The new thing and the most convincing thing that might be convincing here so far is this guy here, this lambda function that we use. Don't bother yourself, okay? With practice, you get used to it. Because I did some bit of chaining here that might be really difficult to like put across. Okay, maybe with subsequent times I might find a way to like break down some of these things, but there is no time. Okay, so that's that about that. So this can be presented now. So in fact, now not to waste too much time, now. Let's see how we can use Seaborn and Matplotlib and conclude the analysis class for today. Now, one of the things that me I want to show, for example, is I can show this guy. You know, this is in the table. Okay, I can show the top 10. Show, for example, the top 10 genres in DF genre. What's it going on? Top 10 genre with how do I put this? With Seaborn. Yeah, that's what we are trying to do here. Seaborn bar chart. You know, I said that I made it clear the other time that my basic assumption is I believe that everybody here has worked with Excel at some point in their time. And of course, visualization is one of the simplest things you can build in Excel. Okay, bar chart and everything. So basic things I expect you to know is that, for example, for your visualization now, you will know that bar chart is for categorical variables. Okay, for example, you can show you get what I mean. You can show top 10, top bottom, okay, top countries, per count, countries per movie, and per TV shows. So you can show quite a lot of things with a bar chart. I will expect that histogram, you should know that histogram for continuous variables. For example, if you want to see the distribution of duration for minutes and distribution for seasons, you can do that with an histogram. For example, if you want to show so many you want to show trend in time, this one is important. I need to put it. You need a line chart. So these are some of like the very important things I believe that you know as a pre-extra knowledge for this class. So that means if I want to show the top 10 guys in bar chart, now this is it. The so uh okay, now to explain so that you will not be confused is this is a bar chart, right? All the charts that looks like this, abi, that looks like this. If it is an horizontal bar chart, they look like this, abi. They can look like this. They can look like this. Is that not it? Good. Which means that if I want to plot this guy, my y-axis, for example, must be a continuous variable, that is numbers numeric. Okay? And my horizontal wise can be the category, the bin, or the labels, abi. Good. So which means that, for example, if I'm plotting my top 10 genre, if this one is like my TV show, TV, okay, this one can be like my horror movie, okay, this one can be like my comedy, for example. Which means that, remember that this is x-axis, yeah? On my x-axis, I will put my categorical variable. On my y-axis, I'm going to put my continuous variable, which I believe we are familiar with before. We just want to implement that in Python. So now, if you want to plot a bar chart in Python using Seaborn, so the syntax is sns.barplot. Okay, if you over on this guy, you see the syntax on how you can write it. So you don't need to cram too much. Once you know that, okay, the syntax I need to be able to plot bar chart is sns.barplot. Once you write it down and you over on it, especially in interactive notebooks like Google Colab, like the one in VS Code, okay, so and Jupyter Lab as well. Yeah, you will see how you can write it. Okay. Now, all the thing I just want you to pay attention to is vector. Vector. For those of you that were in previous class, right, I made a differentiating remark. At least I broached it a bit about what vectors are, what array are, what series and data frame are. The same way series are to pandas. That's vector. That means a single column is a vector. Okay, for pandas. In NumPy rather, a single column is series for pandas. So we explain some of these things. Don't let us waste too much time. We don't have enough time. So CNS or bar plus now, we can see the syntax already. So you need to define your x variable, your y axis rather. Don't mind. You can define u. Okay, you need to define the data. So these are some of the things that you can really define. You can define the palette, the color, the saturation, the hue, so many things. As so if you want to design, you can use some of these things as possible, and you can even use estimator. Okay, if you really want to so yeah, so estimator, if you really want to use let's say it's mean that I want to show, but in this case now, I really want to show the actual value, the total count, which I have already put in data. So what I now do is now for my x now, I'm defining it as my count. Let me just do like this so that it's easy. For my y, the y variable is the categorical variable genre. The data that I want to put in is my count and the top 10. So if I do that, let's see what it brings out. You can see. showing me my top 10 variables. Yeah. So if I want to label, okay, the title, I think this guy takes, let's check. Let's say I want to put title for my stuff. This guy also taking title. Let's just check and be sure that he takes in title. He should take title. Or better still, I can just use a print statement. Print, okay, print um exchange the top 10 genres in the catalog. So if I run that, you see the print statement, so you see the top 10 genres in the catalog, and you can put that. If I'm using Matplotlib and I'm not using Seaborn, Matplotlib allows me to assign title to this guy. Okay, using the title variable. Okay, let me see. This one should also take title, but it might not. Let's just confirm. Title top top 10 genre. Yeah, error. Where did I forget a comma? Yeah, I did forget a comma. I did forget a comma. So there's a comma here. Yeah, it doesn't see. It doesn't take the attributes title. But let's see if there is a fix for it. Sha. That's the challenge. The majority of some of those stuff has been deprecated, so I don't really use Seaborn like that. I use CleanLab for analysis. For my okay, accept. Oh, so that is that about that. That's subset. So it takes another different stuff, PLT title, which works. So I can delete this more. So yeah, this is much cleaner. Okay, so we can define other stuff. If I want to change the color of the bar, okay, I can set like a palette. Okay, I can set a palette, and you can see different palettes that you can set here. You can see different palettes. You can see palette. Okay, you can see different palettes. I'm trying to see if I can set um, the Redis, for example. Let me see if it works. Yeah, definitely. It did. You can see Redis. I love Redis so much. You can see it gives you very beautiful view to be able to, So you can design your stuff as much as you want so that you can simply just copy and put it in your report. Okay, at the end of the day, that okay, this is blah 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 that I'm doing, and so on and so forth. So you can do much more, much more. Let's just see how we can kind of like create some time series with um do some more charts and call it a day. Let's say for example now, if I want to plot the release year distribution, release year distribution, okay, and count by type, for example, and the count by type, for example. So what I can do, so this one now, I will be using what's the name of this guy? Matplotlib and not Seaborn. Okay, so for Matplotlib, we can set the size of our figure so that it's not so big. So from there, we can. Should we use this? Wait, I am coming. Let's try this guy. Ah, nah, not what I want. So yeah, let me write my own. Okay, so now to do that, we can easily use a plot. Okay, for our count of release, so that I can see the distribution of the years, the total number of, you know, total number of um, what's the name of this guy? The total number of movies that has been made for each of the release year. So let's see that. So how do we address that? So for the plot, we can do some form of like a release count where is we have our release year, for example, a release year, for example, and we can put our release counts. Okay, on the other side. So next, of course, before we can use release here, let us let's create the release count here. So we can have our release count and put it in the DF. So in the DF, we want to create. We are using the release year column. Are you saying that? Now for the release year column that we have, we can count the total number of this guy. Remember value count now. So once we count total number, so we can sort the index. Okay, we sort the index like this. I would love to rename the column so that it makes sense to what I need. So I can rename the column to something nice. So if I rename the column, so what are the two columns that I want to rename? So which is I'm coming. I want to show that you guys are still so good. I'm still online. So release counts. Where are we? Okay, good. So we have our columns which can be, I can name that index, for example. I'm turning index to the release here so that it's more readable to release here. One. Then what else can I do? Then I can change the release year as, oh, this is going to give me error. So release here. I'm using double quotation release here. Okay. So and here I have my count like that works. So I need to change this to so that we don't confuse the, just have to say like that. So that is that. Then we have the size of our figure. Let me bring the size of our figure here so that it becomes easier just to make it look nice. Then let's use a plot instead. Okay, let's use a plot instead. This I don't want a bar. So if you have a plot like that, so we have the release count to be the release here and the release count as the count. Then let's give a title. So plt.title, you can give it a user distribution. You can now start labeling it. Okay. So you can label the x-axis as release here, y-axis as count. Um, let me try a tight layout, for example. So that this thing will be nice because what we have there, it's not really jiving. Where do I have that syntax? Let me check. Type layout, release count, release here distribution. Is it a marker? Release here, value count, sort the index, rename. Let me see. Okay, let's try this. Yeah, this works. Perfect. This works perfect. So what we see here now is the distribution of all the different release years. So if I don't want this marker to show and I want a line, okay, I can simply just round that to show me just line, okay, like this. So, but I love markers. I really love the marker, so we can keep it just to be able to trace what we need. You can see. So you can see from 1940, 1960, 1980, 2000, and 2020. So we are, this year is definitely 1925, that minimum year that we have. So that means the highest year with the highest stuff is around 2017, just like we saw the other time. We have about 2,000 plus movies in the catalog. So you can see. So that's how you matplotlib sometimes can look more beautiful than Super if you use it very well. I hope you get that. So you can keep on and keep on and keep on getting more analysis, plotting more graphs, plotting histogram, plotting as much as you want. So Python is that sweet, honestly. And because we don't want to drag this any longer, we can bring out much more and more insights from this, okay, that will help the business, that is going to help the business. And at the end of the day, you can put everything in a notebook, sorry, in a presentation, and show them that, oh, you asked me to find this. These are the things that I found out. I realized that some of the directors, you don't know them, and there's a chance that we have people that are watching them from different parts of the world. And it would be nice if we can partner with some of those directors to give us their movie first hand. Okay, then secondly, the latency. Remember, you can also plot the latency the same way we did the duration time just now. You can plot the latency to show them, okay, it took you roughly about 6 months to upload movies. You are losing customer. People want to watch movies fresh. This is another insight that you can tell to some of these guys. So at this junction, I am going to call it a day and come solely here for questions and dialogue. So I'm going to invite Esther back onto the call, and we can have some dialogue about questions from the group. Esther, are you still there with us? So if you have questions, this will be a nice time to ask. If you need some clarification that needs to be made, this will be a really good time to ask. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Malik. Please confirm you can hear me clearly before I proceed.
Yes, you are audible.
Okay, Malik, thank you so much. I really can't thank you enough. Thank you so much, Malik. We can't see any questions right now. And what I think right now is that people want more time to go study whatever thing they've learned. I don't think they have any questions right now. So they've gone back to review everything and then practice on their own. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask in the comments, or you can reach out to me via email. But okay, do you give one-on-one tutorials? I think I would leave Malik to answer that. Do you? So maybe you're going to even create a paid class for people that would like to join. So are you ready for that? Because I think a lot of people would also be interested in having one-on-one sessions and tutorials.
Probably get back to them on that.
Okay, no problem. So if you want to get back to me, there is no problem about that. So for the one-on-one tutorials, no problem. But please, I implore you that you should watch this video again, digest it, everything that you've learned so far. Please practice, and if you have any questions, write it in the comments and I will come back to you. If I don't have a response to that, I'll reach out to Malik and then we give you your responses. So thank you so much, everyone, for coming. Thank you so much, Malik. You've done really, really great. I appreciate your patience. I appreciate your time. And I appreciate every single person that joined us and stayed till this very moment. Thank you so much. Jack Owaji, you've been a very great guy. Thank you so much for engaging. Thank you so much, everybody. So please, let's join. If you have not subscribed to this channel, please subscribe so that whenever we go live like this, we would have more live sessions where we would practice real live data. We would work on real life data sets. We'll do a lot of practice because it is in practice that you better understand what you are learning. If you don't practice, you won't understand anything. You will just be going about, and when you are being asked any questions, you won't have answers to it. So we'll have more of these sessions, having more practical sessions that would help every one of you to better understand what data analysis is all about and how to analyze data. So I implore you guys to also join the WhatsApp group, WhatsApp channel. That's where we share updates. That's where you know about the live sessions that we have. Okay. So Malik just shared the collab notebook with me. I'm also going to be sharing it with every one of you. So I don't want us to waste time anymore because time is gone. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Malik, for joining. Bye. Please enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye, everybody.
All right. Thank you, Malik.